What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Funkatopia Live. I wanted to come on a little bit early because that's kind of what we do. And I wanted to say hello to everybody, make sure everybody's doing okay, and join you for the pre-show. This is the pre-show for those of you who are just starting to watch the video and trying to get a little bit of an idea. What exactly am I watching here? This is a pre-show, so you guys can get ready for that. We do this it's about 20 minutes before the actual show starts, but we're going to allow you guys to be able to come on and actually participate and a little bit of pre-discussion about what we're going to be talking about tonight. And we're going to be having some fun. And I hope you guys will tune in for that for sure. Welcome one and all. Susie, hello. Andre, hello. Chanika, hello. Donna, what is going on? I guess hopefully everybody can hear me okay. I'm hoping that everybody is doing all right. We're going to be having some fun tonight. We're actually going to be doing, the, where's some other things that are going on here too, which is going to be kind of awesome. I'm looking forward to here. Anyways, we're going to be doing the phone lines are going to be open tonight. We're going to be having a good time. And again, I hope everybody can hear me all right. Everybody can hear me all right. Terry, hello. How are you? Vicky, what's going on? Nikia, hello. Andre, it better be good. Yes, it will be. We're going to be good. I am actually doing, I am two-fisting tonight. Let's not say that twice. Hot chocolate, just because I can. Charlotte, what's going on? Vicky, hello. Lynn, hello. Shirley's in beautiful Philadelphia. I'm assuming snow-covered Philadelphia for sure. Yes. Oh, a little bit of Twitch action. Thank you guys so much. Always good to see some Twitch action going on. Thank you for joining us. You don't see a lot of folks on Twitch, and no, this is actually hot chocolate. It's not just any hot chocolate. It's not even a specific type of hot chocolate. We did, this is Mexican hot chocolate. So it's Abuelita Mexican hot chocolate plus Swiss Miss. So it's two different types of hot chocolate in one luscious cup. Yes. So hot chocolate tonight. Plus on top of that, then I also have my normal water. I normally have that as well with, I don't know what happened to the packet, but I have water that is basically got Crystal Light in it, lemonade Crystal Light. So yes, there is snow everywhere up there. Sacramento in the house. What's going on, Steve? We do actually, Andre, we probably do need to spike it, but quite a discussion tonight for sure. Fawn, hello. Quite a discussion tonight. We got, Keely, Abuelita hot chocolate is amazing. We're going to go into a little bit of a story about that as well, to kind of tell you a little bit about my Mexican / Iberian DNA, and we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. Going to be kind of funny actually, because we got some entertaining stories tonight. You know what, Terry? You say in Northern California it's 77. For whatever reason, I don't know what the exact temperature is here. Let me see what the exact temperature is here. I don't know why we're getting Alice. Oh, I'm going to play some music here. It's 58 here right now, but for the couple weeks prior to this, it was ridiculous. It was insane. It was literally below freezing, and it was just kind of capping out. It was ridiculous. It was not fun at all. But we weren't getting the benefit of, if you're going to make it cold, give us snow. We didn't get that. We didn't. It kind of sucked. Cammy, yes, actually, we did get some of Dolly Parton's little sampler of her perfume in the mail, and Jaden was beside herself. She is so happy. She actually loves it, and she's actually saving her money so that she can actually get a full bottle of it, because she was just like, I want a full bottle of this. But she got the sampler, and she loved it. Thank you, Cammy, so much. She is absolutely beside herself for sure. Sister Char, what is going on the YouTube? In the YouTube world for sure. I hope everybody's doing well. Honey, hello. Honey, for those who don't know Honey Pelcher, Honey, I wish that you could post pictures on Facebook here, and maybe you can later on, but she's got not one, but two of the most amazing Prince tattoos I've ever seen in my life. The artist that works on her is just phenomenal. She's got just two of the most amazing Prince tattoos ever. And so, honey, welcome. Yeah, Janika, 75 is huge. Lawrence, what's going on, man? How are you doing, brother? Vicky says brother lives in Ackworth. Yeah, it's pretty. It's ridiculous here. So, and then I think it's supposed to be raining starting Friday all the way through to Tuesday. It's supposed to be rain. But it's, I think, low is like low 50s, I think. And I think a couple of days it's in like it doesn't make any sense. But keep in mind that we've had blizzards here. We've had snowstorms in March here before. So we're not done yet. We're not done yet by any stretch of the imagination. But you know what? I'm cool. It's all right. It's all good. Brian, what is going on, my man? Brian. Lynn goes, good thing you didn't get snow. Y'all can't handle it. Well, one of the benefits, and this is the flip side of this. For those of you just joining us, this is the pre-show. This is where we just kind of get everybody in and we just kind of talk and chat and say hello to each other and catch up and find out how everybody's doing. And then we actually do the show starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tonight we actually started about 20 minutes early. We still got about another 15 minutes to go before we actually go, but we are going to be having a good time tonight. A lot of interesting news. What I was going to say was, what makes me nuts more than anything else is that kids are not going to be able to now get the benefit of, not going to be able to get the benefit of snow days, which sucks. It's like if it snows, when we were kids, when it snowed, you got a snow day. You didn't, now they just say, oh, it's snow day. All right. Online classes today then. It sucks. Oh my gosh. That sucks so bad for kids. But apparently I do have some friends and some coworkers in Ohio, and they said they actually gave them some snow days. So even though most of them are doing some of the online digital stuff, they're doing snow days anyway. So it kind of sucks. Wally Safford in the house. What is going on? Wally, where'd you get those glasses? Safford is in the house. Wally, my brother, I appreciate you coming in and saying hello. I hope you are doing fine, and I hope your health is good too. You kind of been, family has been through it for sure these past few months, Wally. So I'm glad to see you up and about and doing well. Prayers up, Wally. I hope you're doing good. Going good tonight. We are actually going to be talking about, and Wally, I actually read a little about you. We're going to be talking about news, and we're also going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about the taboos of Prince. We're going to be talking about sex. We're going to be talking about religion, and we're going to be talking about politics, not necessarily in those orders. But what Rob and I wanted to initially do, our initial discussion was that we wanted to kind of focus on, well, before I get to that, Wally, let me tell you where I heard it. Dwayne Tudall's new book is now available for pre-order. You can pre-order on the via Amazon. You can also pre-order it on his website. And if you order it on his website, you can get it autographed copies for there's like a limited amount of hardcover ones that he's going to be signing. And you can order them on his website. And they right now have, I can't remember what the quantity is, but they have, it's like about 40 pages. It's like the first chapter. It's like 40 pages of the book, the first 40 pages of the book. And that's available for download now. So you can actually go to his website and you can download it for free. It doesn't cost you anything. And they were talking about the whole debacle with We Are the World and how Prince basically just didn't want to do it because he didn't want to do it. And his manager was telling Quincy Jones that he was sick, but he wasn't sick. And he ended up going out partying at some club and whatever. And the club that you guys went to, and I guess you had that altercation with that photographer that jumped into his limo that he, wrote about. So yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, so if you want the first 40 pages of Dwayne Tudall's book, you can actually get it. He was actually supposed to come on this show to announce about the pre-order and all that stuff with his book, but he went to Michael Dean first. So I'm a little bit disappointed about but I can't, I don't have any ill will towards Michael Dean. I love Michael Dean. I love Michael to death. You've seen Michael on this show. I've been on Michael's show. You've probably seen pictures of me and Michael hanging out. I love Michael dearly, and he's a good friend, so it's fine. I'm okay. But I want to get Dwayne on the show for sure. And it's Wally. I'll never forget that night. I bet you won't. Wally apparently busted him in the eye, caught up to him and busted him in the eye, but quite a bit of quite a bit of a mess. Audrey, what's going on? Hope everybody's doing good. Donna, tell who happy birthday. Whose birthday is it? Whose birthday is it? Oh, and as I meant to tell you too, we are actually why did it just? I don't know why it does this. I guess I got to go into some type of call settings or something and make it so that I wanted to do some. I wanted to do live phone calls tonight, but for whatever reason, we didn't. Wally, I'll do that. I'll send you an email with I'll send you an email with a link so you can tune in. But apparently we have a little bit of issue with it. It's not wanting to stay live on the phone. This is kind of annoying. So anyways, I wanted to, we're doing TV. We're doing phone tonight. We're doing phone lines, but for whatever reason, the phone line keeps disconnecting. And because if there's no activity on the phone, I guess the phone takes it upon itself. Oh, there's nothing going on. So it disconnects. So I just can't just leave it sitting in the background. I have to go through this whole entire process. So anyway, so I've got to get all this ridiculousness resolved. So let me figure out exactly what is happening here so I can reconnect the phone. And there's got to be some type of connection or something that I can do to kind of keep, or maybe I just press buttons or something. I don't know what I got to do. Anyways, sorry about that. I've got to, it's ridiculous. Rob Rhythm is in the, I hope we got a microphone scenario figured out. We've got 10 minutes for Rob. Let me see if Rob's got some action. Wally, I'm going to get you that link, brother. I'm going to get you to come on for sure. Rob, you there?
I am here. Are you here?
Yeah, oh my gosh, I can hear you and everything. That's just ridiculous.
That never happens.
No quandaries, no issues right out of the gate.
Yes.
Looks like we may actually have a special guest tonight. Wally, where'd you get those glasses? Safford wants to stop in and retell that story about the We Are the World fiasco that happened, where he had to bust a photographer in the eye.
Tried to tell him he didn't want to sing. He'd gladly write a song instead. And that's the same thing.
Yeah, same one. Yeah, that's yeah, it was. But I've got to do two things first. I have to get back online here because I connected the phone. So I'm going to leave the phone off for a second. I'm going to let you talk at some point in time because I don't want to worry about connecting the phone just yet because we got a bunch of other stuff to talk about and this is going to keep on disconnecting. So the phone, if there's no activity on the phone with the phone line, if there's no activity, it just disconnects us. So I don't know what the reasoning for that is, but
it's a feature.
Amazing. Oh my God. Yes. I think it's a feature. Anyways, Blessing said her volume is in and out. I hope it's local, but I don't see anybody else saying that they have any issues. Wally, let me get you that link, brother. I want to make sure that you're taken care of, Wally, because I'd love to have you on to kind of talk a little bit about that because, man, what a night for you, right? It's not every night you get to punch. I can count on one hand how many times I've punched somebody in the eye. So,
yeah, me too.
one hand, just one hand, maybe half a hand. I mean,
I was going to say it's one time for me.
I've punched somebody 3 times in my life, and most all of it, none of it since once I crossed over 20. That never happened again.
It's good time to stop.
Wally says he's going to come on at a later date. All right, Wally, we're going to talk to you about it because I definitely want to have you on, Wally, because we're going to get Dwayne on, Dwayne Tudall, because he's launched his brand new book. So we'll be talking a little bit about that, and we're going to tap on that story as well. And I desperately want to have you on to retell that story. Well, I know we talked about that story before when you've been on the show, brother, but we're going to do that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But Wally, nothing but love. Let me know when you're planning to be in town, in Atlanta, or I'll let you know when I'm up in Minneapolis. We gotta hang out again. Anytime that Wally and I are in the same place, you can normally, if you find Wally, I'll be somewhere close by, and vice versa. Last time I got to hang out with Wally, we were sitting out in the hotel lobby in Minneapolis, just chilling, drinking coffee, eating hotel food in the lobby, just chilling. It was cool. Everybody else was, Wally and I were smart. We stayed in the hotel. The host hotel was across the way from when they were having the the celebration, and the host hotel was across the way, and it was like something ridiculous, like $250 a night or $300 a night for a hotel in Minneapolis, or it wasn't even Minneapolis. It's like south of Minneapolis. And Wally and I were like, screw that. And we literally were at a hotel that was right across the street. It was like, what was it, Wally? It was like $60 a night or something like that. It was just ridiculous.
It was just across the street?
It was literally across the street. Like literally we could walk out in front of the hotel, and right across the parking lot, it was right there. It was like $250 a night for right there. And Wally and I were staying, and we were like, and it was the same exact thing. They had continental breakfast. And it's not like you were staying at the hotel. It was silly. It's just ridiculous. Anyways. So yeah. So if you ever need to go to Minneapolis, just reach out to Wally or myself. We'll tell you where the bargain, what was that name of that place? Oh, it's called American, AMERICINN, American, like in American. It was right across from the host hotel, and it was just like, yeah, you guys do you. It's so ridiculous. Lisa, what's going on? Lee's saying, Andre, is that true? Oh no, Andre's spreading shit now. Let's see what's going on here. The last thing I saw Andre say was, I just called to say I love you. Is that true, Andre? Did you just call to say I love you? Anyways, yeah, so we got a lot of cool stuff we're going to be talking about tonight. Again, we're talking about the taboos of Prince tonight: sex, politics, and religion. What I meant to say was what we're doing is that we actually had initially this show, and I'm going to be talking about this a little bit once we start the actual show. But initially, the show was normally after this show is over, I call Rob and we sit on the phone for forever, because him and I have been friends for I don't know, forever. I mean, decades. So we've known each other since our early teens. So it is what it is. But we initially wanted to do this show where we were talking about when Prince came into our lives and how he kind of affected the way we listened to him, how he kind of became absorbed into our world, how it became such an important figure it's really, really difficult. We had an idea, and
it's a good idea. It's not that it's not a good idea.
Yeah. We were just kind of talking about like for me, to kind of give you a little bit of a taste. For me, I was raised in a very Christian household, even though it was anything but. It was a very Christian household. So all the religious stuff that Prince was littering into his music or inputting into his music was kind of freaking me out a little bit. And so the impression that it had on me as a teenager when I heard it, and it was just the whole weirdness of all of it and everything that was going on that it was very, very it was a really scary, not scary, but for an impressionable teenager, it was kind of terrifying a little bit. It was kind of like, and for other people, it had to do with his heavy focus on sexual content. And that freaked a lot of people out. That probably freaked more people out than the religious stuff for sure. But we're going to be talking about all that tonight. It's like how Prince actually made that effect on your life. When he first came in, maybe you heard him on the radio, but then you maybe heard a song and he went from just like, oh, that guy on the radio to kicking down the door and becoming a part of your life. So we're going to be talking about that. And so that's the reason why it kind of segued into the taboos of Prince, is because we were, I don't know. It's just, anyways. So it's just weird. Anyways.
No, I mean, we started out like really thinking about, wanting to talk not just about our own stuff, but about like what everybody's experience was, because I think if you're a Prince fan, he's probably had a really big effect on your life in a lot of different ways, especially depending on when you were first introduced to him. Right. And, for people like us, we just happened to be in our teens when our early teens, our pre-teens, and then into our teens when he came out, which is the same time when you're trying to figure out all your shit out about life and love and sex and what you believe in, what you don't believe in. And, it's kind of like tossing a bomb into all that stuff that you thought you had a firm grip on. And, that happens to everybody at some point, but Prince just happened to come along when it was happening to us. And it had a profound effect on us.
Yes, it absolutely did. And so we got a minute and 15 seconds before we actually go live on the actual show, and we're going to break into all the news.
Time for your new position. A minute 15 seconds. We got time for new position.
Yeah. Well, now it's actually I Wonder You is actually what the time is now.
Okay. That works too.
We're in segue territory now with 50 seconds. So let me, I've got to pull up our notes because we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Where's my Google Drive? Oh my gosh, all this stuff is here. What in the world? Anyways, I hope everybody's doing well. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about all kinds of news and whatnot. So, 28 seconds. So now I got to get all these screens all situated. And don't get me wrong, I see all the notes of all these notes that you guys are putting up here. I have been paying attention, and I am actually getting. I'm doing my absolute best to verify what you're hearing and the rumors that Andre is pressing. Here we go. Hold on a second. Hold on. All right. It's Mr. Christopher with the Funkatopia radio show. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. I'm just going to go ahead and just stop the music for right now because we've got a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about. I hope everybody's going. If you're listening on audio, thank you so much. I know there's looks like there's a bunch of people, at least a couple hundred people that I know that are on the Funked Up app. Welcome from all over the world. I can see you all over the world. Australia, I see you. London, I see you. London, it's like 2:00 in the morning. What are you doing up? Hi, thank you. That don't let me talk you out of being on here. And then on top, of course, we also are on Facebook and YouTube as well. So for those of you listening on audio, you can definitely join us over on facebook.com/Funkatopia and also youtube.com/user/Funkatopians. That's Funkatopia with an NS on the end. And I've never quite been able to resolve that. I think I also own Funkatopia, but merging worlds is like a nightmare. So we'll figure it out. And eventually when we do, you'll be able to join us in anyways. Mr. Christopher, I am your host. for Funkatopia, and of course, my illustrious co-host Rob Rhythms in the house. How are you doing, brother?
What the hell does illustrious mean? That I'm concerned. I got to look that up. Um,
Don't put yourself into a kerfuffle.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Hey, we got a good show. I'm excited about this. Like I said, this is kind of personal for me and Chris, and we're gonna try to keep it on an overview kind of basis. But we definitely want you guys to join in and give us some of your stories too about how all this stuff affected you and what it was like when you first started hearing it.
Yes. So to kind of give you a little bit of a background story about what we're going to be talking about tonight, we will be covering here the news. We're talking about some news and some rumors that we have coming back and forth. And I want to talk a little bit about both. But what I want to also talk about is what the show is actually going to be about tonight. Where we were started, our original, first off, I hope you guys enjoyed time off. Last week we were off. I actually did a little family vacation. I was back by Tuesday, but I just didn't have any prep time, and I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a break. And so we're back. And today we were going to be discussing when Prince came into our lives. The first time that you heard Prince, how old you were, what type of impression it had on you, because around that time, especially if you are 40 and older, you have Prince came into your life and there was something that he did because that had some type of major impression on you just because of the nature of his music and the content of which is between 1979 and 1986. The content that he was actually pushing out was he was always trying to push the lines. He was always trying to be really heavily sexual. Maybe he was kind of freaking you out a little bit with some of his religious undertones. Whatever it was, there was something there that not only made you love him as an artist, but also kind of had a little bit of an emotional, maybe psychological effect, depending on when he came into your life. Rob and I are the same age. So we're 52. And one of the things is that when he came into our lives, we were teenagers, young teenagers. And so there was a bunch of things that were going on as young teenagers where you're a little bit more impressionable. So you kind of perceive things and receive things in a certain way. And we're kind of going to go into a little bit of a discussion about some of those things that Prince was saying and doing and how he was presenting himself that had an effect on how he just became the person that he was in our world as far as musically. And I know that there are a lot of people that are out there that also had a huge impact from the first time that you laid eyes on him. Maybe it was Little Red Corvette on MTV or whatever it was, the first time that you saw him, where you were just like, holy crap, what is this? What am I watching type of thing. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about that and the impression that he had on me. And Rob is going to talk about some of the impression they had on him. And yes, of course, if you were on YouTube and if you were on Facebook, you can be part of the chat discussion and be a part of the active community. But also tonight, which we don't do very often, we are going to be opening up the phone lines tonight. So I have not turned them on yet, so don't get excited yet. But if you want to write down the phone number right now, you can. It's 2623 We Funk. So 2623 We Funk. Easy enough to remember. 2623 We Funk. That's the phone number. If you are alphabetically challenged, it's 262-393-3865. Again, 262-393-3865. But for those who do actually have letters on their phone, it's 2623 We Funk.
Everybody has letters on their phone, don't they?
I don't know. Sometimes they don't. You'd be surprised. I think I've been on a phone where you flip it over and you go, oh, there's nothing here.
No letters.
Anyways, we will be opening the phone lines. If you dial right now, it'll probably say there's nothing going on right now because I want to hold off on opening the phone lines because if there's too much time of inactivity, the phone cuts off. So I want to make sure that we open the phone lines right when we're willing to accept those incoming calls, because we want to hear your stories too. We want to hear what was going on in your life, how he got into your zone. And the reason why we named that's weird to say. The reason why we named this, or the reason why I named it, Rob didn't have anything to do with it if you don't like it.
Yeah, he doesn't let me do much.
Yeah, the title of the show tonight is The Taboos of Prince, Sex, Religion, and Politics. Because of all the things that Prince really pushed the boundaries on, it was those three things for sure. Definitely on the sex side of things, without a doubt. I mean, that was just, that went all the way up into 2000. I mean, there was always heavy sexual overtones in all of his music. And so that was always one of the things that he caught a lot of flack for. But there was also other things too that actually had an effect on other individuals like myself. The religious part, the undertones of the religious stuff really had an effect on me. And we'll be talking about that. And I'm sure that, it is what it is. Andre's out here saying that Prince helped his sex life. All right.
Me too.
Me too.
Actually, there's some moves that I would have never tried if I hadn't seen Prince do it.
Like the pinwheel.
I haven't tried that one yet. But now that I've actually listened to the song and have a pretty good sense of how to do it, you have to go out and buy stuff for that one, though. That's
the best thing you can do is just ask her. Tell me how you want to be done. So I am actually two-fisting drinks tonight. I know we normally have wine nights, but I have hot chocolate, actually Mexican hot chocolate tonight.
Ooh,
which is really good. It's really good.
Yeah, it is.
Mexican hot chocolate, and of course, water with lemonade, Crystal Light lemonade. So hot chocolate and lemonade. It's not really the best of mixes. So I'm just kind of working on the hot chocolate for right now.
That's really you're mixing citrus and dairy.
Yes, I will be waking up in the middle of the night gasping for air.
Hey, why are eggs in the dairy department, by the way?
What now? What?
I don't have an answer for this. I'm just wondering, why are eggs in the dairy department? Dairy is supposed to be cows, right? And they put eggs there. That comes from chickens.
But technically it's not meat yet. it's pre-meat.
but it ain't it. I mean, it ain't cow.
Where's it gonna go? Where does it go?
I don't know. Maybe it goes over by the chicken breasts. I don't know. Just always wondered. I just, maybe somebody knows. I don't know.
Oh, well,
which is funny because I worked in the dairy department at a grocery store for a long time.
Anyway, so let's talk about news. Let's talk about news that matters. So I got a little bit of confirmation of a rumor. There's a rumor that's going out. And should I start with this? Should I start with this? I don't want to start with this. I guess I need to start with it.
What rumor are we talking about? I've missed the rumor.
So, you
got to talk about it now.
Yeah, I've been talking a lot about the fact that there is a new super deluxe edition that's coming out of Prince's albums. And we have been talking a lot about the fact that everything that we heard from sources that Parade was going to be the next super deluxe. One of the issues with the Prince Parade super deluxe is primarily the movie that's attached to it, Under the Cherry Moon, because of the fact that I guess through licensing arrangements and whatever else, it ended up being a little bit of a nightmare for this is the news section, by the way, the news / rumors section. This is not the show. We are not going into the taboos of Prince segment of our show just yet. We're talking about the news / rumors section. We started off for rumors. So Under the Cherry Moon, I guess, went through a bunch of different licensing and changed hands a bunch of times. And initially, I guess Parade was supposed to be this huge thing. Parade was supposed to be this huge thing. But the problem is because of the fact that so many people had their hands on Under the Cherry Moon as far as licensing and ownership and all this other stuff, it ended up being quite a bit of a nightmare. So I guess not to say that it's not done or that it's not going to be done, but apparently they've shifted gears, and or that initial rumor that we heard is not true, because now the rumor is, and I saw it spinning here in the chat room. People were already talking about it on the chat room. I saw it, people chatting. There is going to be a release of Diamonds and Pearls Super Deluxe. And not only is it going to be the Super Deluxe, and I was actually going to try to find while I sit here and very loudly type, click, click, type it loud, click, 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 click. I really need one of these soft touch emails. I mean, keyboards, because this is like horrible. Anyways, so there's supposed to be a Super Deluxe of Diamonds and Pearls now. But what's interesting about this is, and this is actually a step further than what they did with Parade. What's interesting is that there was a date announced of October 21st. Okay. But what's also interesting is that I'd also heard another rumor about Batman Super Deluxe, which makes no sense because it was a soundtrack. So I don't see that happening. If anything, I'm believing this rumor with the Diamonds and Pearls only because of the fact that they attached a date to it of October 21st. So it's supposedly, possibly going to be happening. And I've actually asked some people about it. I've asked a couple people online about it that I know are pretty much in the know. And there's some people that are not. Everybody's being real careful about what they're saying. So there's that. So we don't know. We still don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. Rob, what are you sharing here? I'm going to put this up. Oh, there you go. A little bit of, there you go. A little bit of Parade. Diamonds and Pearls and Parade. So which one would it be? Which one would you prefer to see? Would it be Diamonds and Pearls Super Deluxe? Diamonds and Pearls was a pretty substantial album, as far as, not the Parade wasn't, but as far as the quantity of songs on it. I don't know what to look at the track listing time, but I can tell you, neither one of these releases, if either one of them were to happen, I'm going to let you guys in the chat area, I'm going to let you guys decide. It looks like so far Parade is in the lead. I'm
with you on that. Much rather see that.
Yeah, I think everybody would rather see Parade, probably because of the fact that this is when he was in the writing mode. I mean, he was just, Prince was in this mode where, and this is kind of a little bit may segue into later on into the news. We're going to talk a little bit about Dwayne Tudall's new book is coming out. It's going to be released on June 7th on Prince's birthday, and it is Prince 1985-1986, the Parade and Sign of the Time era studio sessions. But not only does it cover those, it also covers a bunch of other stuff that was going on during that period of time too. Not a lot of people don't know this, but during 1985 and 1986, Prince wrote 7 albums. Seven albums, only 2 of which you saw. But, well, no, I take that back. Only 2 of which were attributed to him, but you had everything. You had a bunch of stuff going on. You had Camille in that mix. You had The Flesh in that mix. You had The Family in that mix. There was so much stuff going on, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Sheila E.'s second album. And so there was a lot going on in that time. So he was in this writing mode. So you can only imagine that there are a wealth. I mean, a huge, massive wealth of unreleased material that would end up on the Super Deluxe for Parade. But a lot of people are not aware of this as well. He was still in that massive, insane writing mode, not quite as much, but during Diamonds and Pearls, there's a lot of unreleased material from that in the 90s there. A lot.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people would rather see Parade. I mean, I'm looking at the chat room and most everybody is freaking out and saying Parade, 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 Parade. I have not seen one. Well, I haven't seen any vote for Diamonds and Pearls at all. So, all right. It seems like everybody is pretty much. So I know that we always have a lot of people from the estate that listen to the show to send me emails telling me to stop doing things after the show's over. Let's listen to the show so we can send them an email afterwards and tell them don't do that anymore, please.
We don't like that.
So, anyways, there's that. So yeah, Parade. I would absolutely prefer to see Parade just because of the time period and the type of music and the style of music. That's my favorite period for sure. Absolutely my favorite period. I liked Diamonds and Pearls. Don't get me wrong. But some of the Super Deluxe stuff, the unreleased tracks that would come from that era are a little bit, wonky. Let me do this. You said, Rob, that Parade would be your vote.
Absolutely.
I still remember a conversation. There's the conversation that you and I had on the phone during Diamonds and Pearls. I had the album and you didn't. And it's a phone conversation that still haunts me to this day. Every time I see it.
That's right. That was one of the few times. I remember that now.
I had the album and you didn't, and I was going over the track listing, and I was just like, and there's all these songs called Segue. And you said, that's segue, Chris. I was like, oh. I don't know. I guess I had never seen that word written out. I was like, what the hell is Segue? There's like a bunch of Segues on here.
I thought that was the.
Or maybe it's the Symbol album. So I'm looking at 1991 which is when Diamonds and Pearls came out, and so I'm looking at the. I'm looking at some of the unreleased tracks that from let's 1991 unreleased track Get Blue, great song. A lot of other stuff like that he did with Mavis Staples, like I Hear Your Voice, Player, The Juice, The Voice, which is a song that he actually wrote for Pepsi. Well, he actually gave it to Ray Charles. Yeah. Who did the piano part. You got the right one, baby. That was a Prince song, and Prince gave it to Ray Charles, who kind of revamped it a little bit, and it became the Pepsi commercial that you guys all know and love. But there's also some other ones in here. Work That Fat's in here. Violet the Organ Grinder, that's a good one. You got all the Carmen Electra stuff. Yay. And then you've also got stuff from 1992, which is, a lot of the, George Clinton stuff as well. Steal the Pea, Well Done, Open Book. I mean, Pain, My Tree. There's still some good songs that are in. So there's some good unreleased tracks that you could actually finally get to hear. And of course, there's all that, just tons of material. But absolutely, Parade would be the hands down winner. But it doesn't look like we're going to get that. It looks like we're going to get the Diamonds and Pearls one, and it's just whatever. I am going to say, and here's the thing that I am a little bit, I don't know. I very much feel conflicted with this whole process.
You always feel conflicted, though.
I know. I
don't know what
I was really a big fan of that the 90s is kind of where I tuned out a little bit. I loved Prince. I still went and got these albums. I still went to go see him in concert every single time he came through. But that was not a period that I was very enamored with. In concert, he was phenomenal, obviously, but it was just the material that was being, I wasn't really a fan of the stuff that he was doing with George Clinton. I mean, it was okay. But I just kind of felt like it was cookie cutter a little bit. And of course, then you had the Carmen Electra stuff and I don't know. Remember, I was very focused on funk. And he was going a totally different, he was doing something just very, very different. There was still funk in there, but I don't know. I'm definitely the 80s version of Prince for sure. Why are you in the dark? You're making that half of the video like shitty to look like.
I'm trying.
You're trying what?
I'm trying to get the other video stuff I have, and then when I show it, it shows on one screen, and that's the screen that's lighting me up right now, and it makes me look dark. That's all, man. That's all it is.
Okay. All right. We'll just have to just go into Elena says, "Work That Fat" is awesome. You know, it's so funny because Ryan said "Wow, the organ grinder was already released." You're right. Every time I play "Work That Fat" or that it comes up in rotation, I always get an email or a text for anybody that has my phone number that was like, "Really, you're playing this song?" I was just like, "It's in rotation." I just I don't know what to tell you. And of course, Jughead and. Movie Buff on YouTube is talking about all the stuff that I really got to scroll up and read all the Movie Buff's input here, because Movie Buff has got a bunch of stories. Said my brother recommended to me a song by this new guy Prince, a song called "I Want to Be Your Lover." I dismissed it as disco. When I hear the song and the second album today, I'm immediately transported back to that era. Yeah, I would have to agree. There was a very, very disco element to what Prince was doing in that particular time period. There was still, I mean, it wasn't funk for sure, but there was a little bit of a pop disco element to it. I would agree. For sure. Yeah.
Disco was like still big back then. So it was just starting to. They hadn't had that big fire at the Chicago Cubs Stadium by that point, where they burned all the disco records.
Oh yeah, it's somebody else was talking about that. Somebody was talking about that in the chat room about when did that happen? That disco burning thing.
I think it was 70? Like 80.
It was 80. Yeah,
I think so.
I mean, it could well be. I'm gonna believe you. I'm gonna believe that it's what it was, because the stuff that they were burning was like Bee Gees, Donna Summer.
But they weren't. They were burning like R&B records. That's what's so messed up about it, is that they weren't really. It wasn't really about disco. You know, it is about something else.
Let me go through my albums,
R&B records and shit like that. Yeah, that's what it was. It was messed up, man.
Let me go through my albums and pick out all the people that are wearing glittery clothing, and we'll take care of this. Oh, there's glittery clothing. Disco, death to disco. All right, so let's talk about news so we can start to get back on track here, because we are going to be talking about the taboos of Prince: sex, religion, and politics.
Okay, I had to look it up. I was off. 1979.
July 78, 79, and
yeah, you were right.
Yeah, well, they were closing out the 70s. They were like, 70s, go away. Yes. And anyways, all right. Elena says, yes, that was terrible. I saw it in the Bee Gees documentary. I did not watch that documentary. Everybody's told me I need to watch that documentary.
It's good, man. I've watched it.
Even if you don't like the Bee Gees, you need to watch that documentary. So I'm going to watch it right
Absolutely.
now. I'm finishing off. I'm not finishing off. I'm in the last season of Narcos, the original Narcos.
Well, I haven't watched that at all. I've heard it's great.
Yes, I didn't either. And the only reason why I hadn't was because
I thought you were watching Breaking Bad. What happened to that?
I'm done.
You're done?
Yeah, I blistered through Breaking Bad. Yes, I was one of those guys. I did not watch one single episode of Breaking Bad until December of 2020. Not one single episode. Hadn't watched one single episode, and I barreled through them. And then after I barreled through them, then I watched El Camino. And then I buried. Then I went through all the seasons of Better Call Saul, including this last one, season 5. And so now I'm all.
Do you like Saul better or Breaking Bad better?
Well, they're both fantastic.
Right, they are.
What freaks me out about both of those shows, man, we were way off track.
We are.
It's fine. No, we're good. It's fine. We're here. Yeah, it's fine. What freaks me out about Breaking Bad? What?
Don't let the boss know.
No, it's all right. I won't tell him. Is that anything that you're wondering about in your head? You're like, well, why don't they just say that? Or they forgot about that part. They close up everything. Yeah. They literally everything that you can think of, like when Saul's car was shot up and left in the desert, and they pushed it off the cliff, and I was just like, well, why don't they just say that maybe some kid shot it up and threw it off the cliff just for whatever? And then she said it, and I was just like, oh my God. Everything that you could possibly think is tied up. It's like the writers they record it and then they watch it and go, can anybody in the room think of anything that we're missing here that we could probably angle it? And it's crazy. It's just amazing to me. Anyways, great show. Let's talk about news, shall we? Yes, I'm in Narcos right now. The end of season 2. It's only 3 seasons, and then now we got a new one now, Narco Mexico. I haven't. I'm just like, oh great. The only reason why I didn't watch that initially was because it's 80% in Spanish, so you have to sit and watch it. Yeah. As opposed to just kind of let it play in the background, you actually have to sit and watch the dialogue. But I'm learning a lot of Spanish. I really am. I'm like paying attention to. It's actually been really good for me, actually. So between that and Babbel on my phone, and I think I'm, we're going to talk about my DNA story too when we get to the actual show.
I'm not sure I've heard this one. So
you have heard the show, the DNA thing when I got the DNA test. Yeah. Okay. Well, if I didn't tell you this story, there's no way I didn't tell you this story. Anyways, Let's talk about the news. The first bit of news that we're going to be talking about is something that kind of freaked me out a little bit. The amazing Stevie Wonder is apparently decided that he is just about over the United States, and he wants to he doesn't want anything to do with the United States anymore. He's just like, there's too much ridiculousness. There's too much racial injustice. And he's just fed up with our system, and he realizes that it's never going to get fixed. And he essentially said, I'm just going to move. I'm going to move to Ghana, of all places. I mean, Canada's a little bit closer, but anyways, he says, I'm just going to permanently move to Ghana. He says, I don't want to see my children's children have to say, oh, please like me, please respect me, please value me. What kind of is that? He said, I want the world to get better. I want us to get beyond this place, and I want us all to go to the funeral of hate. That's what I want. And again, it's not the first time the 70-year-old, he's 70 years old, has said he wants to relocate to Ghana. He also said it in 1994 when he was living in Los Angeles. He said he wanted to move to Ghana. So apparently I think he's made up his mind, and he is going to be, he's going to be moving to Ghana. I don't know when it will be, but he's made up his mind. He's done. He's over it. But I guess we'll see. No
more carpool karaoke.
That was amazing. Those right? Are carpool karaoke with James Corden. It was pretty amazing. It was really, really funny. But the Billie Eilish one is really, really good too.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, Billie Eilish.
Go ahead.
Billie Eilish was also in the carpool karaoke with James Corden, and actually there was a mandolin in the background in the back seat, and she actually grabbed it and was actually playing it. She's actually really proficient in many instruments. I did not know that about her. and on piano and mandolin. And speaking of which, Billie Eilish is actually her movie. There's a movie called "The World Is." I know that I kind of jumped out of space here. You probably didn't have a picture for her, anyways. But her movie, "The World's a Little Blurry." For those who don't know, I love Billie Eilish. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people don't really catch up or keep up with a lot of the popular music that's on the radio right now, and I typically don't either. Most of it, for me, it's just disposable. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
But Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas are amazing. If you've never had an opportunity to really pay attention to the music and what they're doing and some of the soundscapes that they create and some of the things that he does, that team is amazing. Billie Eilish is definitely one of my all-time favorite artists for sure. She's not like this phenomenal singer, but what the worlds that they are able to create with their music and the way that they put things together it's just one of my all-time favorite artists, new artists that I really like.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, Susan says I cannot stand Billie Eilish. She cannot sing. Okay, everybody's got their opinion. As I said, she's not like the most phenomenal singer, but there's other things that are going on instrumentally that's really, really fantastic. And, some people appreciate it, some people don't. But her new movie called The World's a Little Blurry is going to be premiering this Friday night for free on her YouTube channel and also on Apple TV. And again, it's a documentary about her and her brother Phineas, and it's going to have some live concert footage also. I'm sorry, Susan, this news brief is not for you at all.
Well, that one part.
Well, and you have to really, there's other people that I kind of like too, but I'm still trying to kind of investigate a little bit. Like I like Doja Cat a little bit. I like that song "Say So." And some of her other stuff too. And I definitely liked, what's a Beyonce sister's name?
Solange?
Yeah. Solange is amazing too. And I've started to really get into her a lot more. And, so there's just some artists that are out there that I think that are just phenomenal artists. And there's just so many great things out there. It's just, it is what it is. But anyways, Billie Eilish's documentary is going to be coming out on Friday. I'm looking forward to that and going to probably sit down with my daughter and watch it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So there's that. After 28 years of being together, they formed in 1993. The duo that brought us Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, and of course, Get Lucky. The band, better known as Daft Punk, has officially called it quits. They are done. They're over. What's weird about it is that I don't know why they didn't wait until 30 years. Something a little bit more. Let's wait until there's like something a little bit more momentous. But I guess there must have been something with 28 years, or they just kind of capped out. I don't know. They were like, I can't do this for another 2 years. But they just decided that they're going their separate ways. They have not made any announcement as to what the reasoning was, but apparently they released an 8-minute video. They released some 8-minute video that kind of talks. I think it was called Epilogue. I think if I remember correctly, I don't have that in front of me, but there was an 8-minute video kind of talking a little bit about that they're no longer going to be together anymore. So that's kind of a bum deal for those who are Daft Punk fans. It's just I don't know what to tell you, but they had a lot of great songs. They were really cool little duo. And
yeah. Like songs like Get Lucky, good message for the kids. I liked it.
It's just kind of telling true stories. That's
a true story.
True story. That's what we're up here to. Only got a couple more pieces of news here, and then we're going to get into our regular show here. Spotify is taking a page out of Jay-Z's title book, and they're going to be offering a high fidelity version of their service. Now, I don't consider myself, I love music. I love listening to music in headphones. I don't really consider myself an audiophile. But I don't necessarily know, like I have Spotify now. I know you have Spotify. You're on my account, aren't you?
Yeah. You're the reason I have Spotify, actually.
He's on my family plan. But I don't know that if they went. I don't know if they went to a high def version. If I would be able, I'm sure that I would be able to hear the difference. But most of the time, it's having it playing in the background. I'm not listening. I'm not sitting in a darkened room with headphones on, listening to all the nuances of. I just don't. I don't know.
I tried Tidal for a while, and I could tell the difference. I liked it. It was nice, but I just felt like it was too expensive for. I think I get the same service for. Yeah, it was too expensive, and I was like, man. And if they're gonna price this high res, I'm sure they're gonna price it higher. So for me, if I want something to have a better sound to it, I'll probably get an album and play it on a phonograph. But then there's other issues with that too,
Yeah, and as Brian says here, it really depends on what you're listening to, because and there's truth to that. You got bands even like Prince. If you've never listened, it's one thing to listen on speakers. You can totally experience complete different aspects of the music when you listen to Prince's songs in your headphones, especially albums like Rainbow Children.
Oh yeah.
The stuff that's going on in the background will blow your friggin' mind. Things that you don't necessarily hear. And I even listen to songs back from Sign of the Time era, and I am just blown away. It's like
I was listening to For You the other day. Some of the songs from For You.
Yeah,
and there's so much that when I was listening through my headphones, I was like, I didn't really hear that before.
When we're dancing close and slow, it's just so some of that stuff is just unfriggin' real. It's just unreal. It's just completely unreal. I want to say hello to everybody. I know everybody's. Lee says Tidal high def is $19.99 a month. Here's my issue. If Spotify is going to do something like Tidal and they're going to be offering a high def service, my issue is then you need to do something that is going to be that's going to take care of the artist more, because I'm not going to give you more money so that you can still pay artists 0.0002 cents per play. It's not fair to the artist. It's just not right. If you want me to pay more, then make sure that the artists are going to be getting more as well. That's my thing. It's like, I don't even mind paying more for the level of audio that we have right now. If you tell me that money is going to go into the artist's pocket, because I'm all about it. I think really, listen, I pay $14.99 a month for Spotify right now in the standard audio version that it is right now, but there's 5 people on my account. So 5 people are listening to Spotify, a few of which are listening nonstop all friggin' day. So that's worth it. That's definitely an amazing deal. I would be willing to go up to $19.99 a month for that same level of service, for the same level of access, if you tell me that there's going to be more money that's going to be going into the artist's pocket. I know it doesn't make a whole bunch of financial sense for them, but I think that I think it says volumes about your respect for the artist and respect for the musician, and it's worth it, because it's a totally different realm. Before, back in the day when we were, in the 80s or in the 70s and 80s and even into the 90s, if you wanted before Napster, if you wanted to kind of get an idea, if you heard a song on the radio, you had no choice but to go out and either find somebody who already owned the album that could give you a copy or let you listen to it, or just simply just bite the bullet and go out and buy the album. Now you can actually listen to the entire album without having to make any type of purchasing decision or have any extra money come out of your pocket beyond what Spotify charges you. So I think Spotify is an amazing tool, but at the same note, the artists need to be taken care of. And so they're going to be moving to a high def version. That's my vote, is that they actually take care of the artist. And
so even if they have a high def version, though, it's like, that's like $19.95 for like one person, right? It's not like $19.95 for 5 people, is it?
For Tidal, it is. For $14.99, the Spotify right now for your standard, you have actually I think it's $12.99. It's the family version, and 5 people get to listen to it. So that's 5 into $13. So it's essentially a little under $3 per person.
Well worth it.
That's absolutely worth it for you.
It's very worth it for me. I got to tell you right now, I'm getting the best deal
as a listener. And I'm not talking about specifically you.
I'm
talking about for the art as compared to the artist. For the artist, it's shitty because they're just not getting it's just
no. Yeah, I hear you, but you're right. I mean, they could change that by just changing the percentage that they give to the artist. I guess the question I was asking is like, if Spotify is now going to have another service, is it going to be $19.99 for a family, or is it only $19.99 per person who has it? And if it's $19.99 per person who has it, then no, I don't know that that's such a great deal. But if it's $15.99, if it's now going to be $19.99 for 5 people, that's not that much more.
Yeah, and that may be okay, but again, I don't want more money to
That's
be going.
I'm trying to convince you to go to this, man. I mean,
I don't want more money to go to Spotify's pocket. I want more money to go to the artist. So
right, absolutely, yeah.
So there has to be an increase. And anyway, real briefly too, before I get into, I want to talk about Dwayne Tudall, but London. There, just a real quick note. In June of this year, London clubs are going to start reopening. So clubs in London are going to start reopening, which is insane. They're going to start doing concerts again. They're going to start letting you hang out and start and see live music this year in June. In June this year, like, what is it? It's March, April, May. 4 months from now, they are allowing clubs to reopen, which...
Their experience with COVID is not the same as our experience with COVID, though.
Is it not? Apparently, I must not be.
It's crazy. Everybody. There's more people who actually follow, the necessary requirements. The government is doing more with, putting in measures to try to keep it from spreading when things change and when people start to have more of it. Their vaccination process is really freaking good. So it doesn't surprise me. Now they don't have as many people, obviously, but still, they're handling it pretty well. So it's still shocking to me. I think that's still too early, but it wouldn't be like opening up here. Opening up here would be freaking nuts.
Well, besides my kids, my in-laws live with me. Both of them have been
love to go to London clubs. I know.
Yeah. Both of them have been vaccinated. That was a segue, not that one. Both of them have been vaccinated. Obviously, my wife works at the hospital. She was vaccinated.
My wife's vaccinated too because she's a healthcare worker. Yep.
And because of the fact that I was able to fall under as a caregiver, I've also have half a vaccination. So I've gotten the first of 2 shots. So
Moderna or Pfizer?
Pfizer. So I got the Pfizer one. So I got 1 of 2. And the second one will be March 3rd, I think, or March 3rd or March 11th. I can't remember which date. I'll be getting the second one. So
shit, I'll be vaccinated. 21-year-old. I should be able to get that too.
Yeah, if you get right, exactly. Just say,
hey, my 21-year-old son is here. I got to take care of that.
Well, it's because of the senior side effect. Anyways, yes. Here's something really exciting. We're going to be talking about my good friend Dwayne Tudall, who he's been on the show a few times. Matter of fact, we did the Purple Rain era studio sessions. When we did the Purple Rain album chat, I had Dwayne Tudall on because he is the author of Prince and the Purple Rain era studio sessions, 1983 to 1984. And he was actually with me, and we were going through the entire album chat, and it was fantastic. It was such a fun time. And he said that he was going to come on the show to announce the launch of his book, and that we would be his first stop. We weren't his first stop. He went to Michael Dean a few days ago. I think it was Sunday. I think. I guess it was Saturday or Sunday. He went to Michael Dean, and he announced his book launch on Michael Dean's show. Michael, I love you. You're a good friend, so I can't be mad. Both of you are good friends, so I can't be mad. It's fine. Just get the word out. We're all good. Dwayne will come on the show, and we'll remedy that error. But I did reach out to him. I was like, really? What's
Like,
up? What's up?
Yeah,
I have you back, man. What's going on, man? What's going on, man? Anyways, his new book is out. Well, not out. I'm sorry. It's being announced. It's almost out.
the announcement is out.
Yes, the announcement is out. His book is called Prince 1985 to 1986: The Parade and Sign of the Time era studio sessions, and it is going to be released on June 7th, Prince's birthday. And I'm actually putting out the link right here, so you can actually pick it up on Amazon if you want. Even if you don't get it on Amazon, still click on that link.
That's cool. I just noticed that the foreword is written by Elton John.
Yes, and so so here's
cool.
the other thing too, is that the first book, the foreword, where I got to put that link out again because apparently Facebook had an issue with the link. We're going to try it again. There you go. Sorry. So if you want to pre-order it, you can.
Copyrighted link.
Here's the other thing too, is that that they look at the activity, the traffic activity that's on those Amazon pages, and also his website too. So even if you don't, at least look at it. At least look at the page and kind of show the book people that you are interested in checking it out, because they look at the views, they look at the traffic to those pages. That's the pages. That's the page for Amazon, anyways. And so that will also help with their Amazon rankings as well. So, anyways, that all being said, and my affiliate ID is attached to that too, so that works as well. The other thing is that if you buy it on his website, DwayneTudall.com, he's doing a limited amount. I don't know what the number is. It's a limited amount of signed numbered copies that he is going to be doing of the book, hardcover book. So if you want to order it from his website, you can get it there, signed copy. And I want to say the cost was $43 or $45. I think it's somewhere around $45. And that includes free shipping, but it will be autographed. It will be made out to you. And on top of that, it will be numbered. So it will be a numbered edition. Now, one of the things that I was freaked out about, not only sorry, I had to go ahead. Not only was I mentioned in the book, the first one, but what's really, really cool is that I was going to put this, I was actually going to put this book, the paperback version of it, on up for auction to raise money for Bootsy Collins' project. But I had to get Dwayne to send out his own book, because when I opened it up, I realized that it is, I'm going to have to make myself big here so you can actually see this. It's made out to me, and it's number 2.
Nice.
Number 2 of 300. Maybe his wife got number 1. I don't know, but I got number 2. So it's
Maybe his wife got number 3.
I told Dwayne, I said, I'm not giving that away. I just realized it was number 1 and number 2. So I'm not gonna do that. Anyways.
Oh, it's signed to you too. It's got your name.
Yeah, it's signed to me too, and I didn't realize that. I thought he just signed it. But anyway, so I ordered 2 copies of the book on his website. So I have one that he's making out to me, and also one that he's just signing and numbering that I will be doing a giveaway for on Funkatopia when it's released. The book is going to be released June 7th. So, get ready. If you don't plan on purchasing it, get ready, because it's going to be amazing. DwayneTudall.com, DUANE, Dwayne Tudall, TUDAHL. I'm trying to think. Yeah, his name is actually on the bottom here. Dwayne Tudall. That's how you spell his name, DwayneTudall.com. And right at top of the box, on top, you can get one book for 45, or you can get two for, I think it's 73 or something like that. So you get a little bit of a discount, and you get two of them, one to give to a friend and one to keep for yourself. But it's going to be amazing because, while the first book did cover Purple Rain, it also covered a bunch of other things as well. Little side projects, but 1985 to 1986 was ridiculous from a writing perspective for Prince. It was insane. So not only does this book cover Parade and Sign of the Times, but it also covers the Black Album. It also covers Crystal Ball. It also covers Around the World in a Day. It also covers The Family. It also covers Sheila E.'s second album, the Romance 1600 album. It also covers Dream Factory. It also covers Camille. All these things that it was insane. It was ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So ridiculous.
It's so much material. It's just beside itself. It's so much material. And anyways, and on top of that, what's funny, I think, is that, I don't know how many albums that is. I think that's 10 albums, I think, that I just named. Michael Jackson, in his entire solo career, only created 10 studio albums. In his entire solo career, not the Jackson 5. I think Jackson 5 released like 10, 12 albums. But in Michael Jackson's entire solo career, he only released 10 albums. And Prince did that in this 2-year period of time. Anyways, this book, I was going to say I'm not comparing, but I am. This book talks about all of them, 700 pages. Absolutely. As I said, last book had a foreword written by Questlove, and this one has a foreword by Sir Elton John, as you mentioned, which is crazy, insane. Oh my God. Crazy. Anyways, I'm just beside myself. It's so freaking awesome. Can't wait. And you can also when you go to website, DwayneTudall.com, if you want to at least read the first 40 pages, you can download the first 40 pages right now without even buying anything. You can go and you can download it. And you can get everything. It's going to be incredible. What is also awesome is that because of the segment that first chapter or that first download that they made available, next week I will be doing an album chat for Sheila E.'s In Romance 1600. We're going to be talking about that. We're doing an album chat next Tuesday. So we're doing yet another album chat. I already was in the midst of creating it anyways, but now I have a bunch of extra information to add to it about that album that was released in that segment that he offered. So it's going to be a lot of that information in there, and it's amazing. So anyways, that's that. All right, we're going to get into the actual show here. Just a couple real brief stuff, things that I want to talk about. Patreon supporters, if you are not a Patreon supporter, please do so. It's Patreon. I just got the ASCAP bill 2 days ago. I saw ASCAP. I got the email and it says ASCAP, and I opened it up and I was like, oh, it's like, oh my gosh. Yes. For those of you who don't know, Funked Up is ASCAP licensed, and I just got that bill 2 days ago, and it's awesome. But anyways, Patreon supporters, thank you so much for supporting Funkatopia and the Funked Up app, and this, part of what we're doing here is part of that whole, process and whatever. But one of the things that a lot of people do on Patreon, it's patreon.com/Funkatopia. That's patreon.com, and patreon.com/Funkatopia. You can support us there for as little as $5 a month. That's it. Little as $5 a month. And one of the things that I do is that every year there are certain levels of Patreon supporters, because there's different levels that you can do. I actually purchase things for the supporters. It'll be books and gear and memorabilia, and sometimes I actually send out vinyl from my own collection, or it's all kinds of things that I get for supporters. So I kind of go the extra mile for anybody that supports us through Patreon. But what I've also started to do, and I'm doing it a lot more heavily now, is that I am uploading some of my most precious purple treasures up to Patreon. Concerts, just stuff, just so you know. So I can't really go into too much detail, but if you are a Patreon supporter, I am like starting to actively upload files and things for you that you're not going to hear or see anywhere. Might be videos, it might be sound files, it might be live concerts, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of purple treasures. And of course, I'm doing it more regularly right after the first, because it's just a strategic thing. Anyways, there's a lot of files and stuff. So if you are a Patreon supporter, definitely make sure that you log into Patreon and keep an eye on it, because there's a bunch of stuff that I'm uploading and sharing, stuff that you're not going to hear or see anywhere. So that all being said, if you're not a Patreon supporter, you definitely want to do it, not only to support this radio station and support us, but also because of the fact that you're going to get a bunch of stuff. You get all kinds of really cool stuff and access to cool files and things that other folks don't get. Early access to album chats and shows and whatnot. So, what's funny is that I interviewed two of members of Third Eye Girl. I interviewed Donna Grantis, and I also interviewed Ida Nielsen, and I made those interviews available to Patreon supporters, and then like a year passed and I never made them available to anybody else. So Patreon supporters got those interviews, they got to hear those interviews, and nobody else got to hear them. And it was just like, so there you go. Yeah.
One day.
What is this? Who is?
Oh, I was just expressing how I felt about offering things that you have to your Patreon.
Oh yes. So you will be excited. Anyways, so it's lots of fun stuff. Anyways, and then of course bumpers. On the radio station, we have all these commercials that are not commercials, but little announcements that happen in between the songs. I put like little news clips and weird stuff. And, I want you guys to create bumpers. I think I've made this request a few times now, and nobody's, still nobody has done it. So I'm going to have to just start creating some bumpers. But if you please create some bumpers, I would love to have you on the radio show. Just say, hey, this is so-and-so, and you're listening to Funkatopia Radio, and just maybe say something silly, or just some people have actually created music and have actually created little teeny songs and stuff. Yeah, I've had a couple of those. Those are awesome. So absolutely, just please do that. All right, let's do it. It's time for the show. The show itself. I was going to talk about some of the Prince albums website a little bit, but I'm not going to do that because I want to get into the show. The show itself. We spent an hour talking about news and rigmarole. I want to get into the actual show.
Is rigmarole what you get after kerfluffles?
Yeah, after kerfuffles, yes. Once you have a little bit of a kerfuffle, yes.
You get right to the rigmarole.
After 2 weeks ago, after the show, Rob and I were talking about different types of things that we wanted to do for a show, and one of the things that we wanted to talk about was we are the same age. We're both 52, and so when Prince came into our lives musically, we were young teenagers, and the impact that it had on us, just from the content and how we perceived it and everything, and we really wanted to kind of really get into it and kind of understand a little bit about how, like for me, it kind of freaked me out from the religious standpoint, but I know for other people, it kind of freaked people out for the sexual overtones that he had. And so there was a lot of both. Yeah, it was some people. Yeah, some people were freaked out by both the fact that both of them existed in one song. So that was the original premise of the show. And as I started putting it together and started kind of getting some of the details together, it became the show that you were about to talk about here right now, the taboos of Prince: sex, religion, and politics. Those were the three things that really freaked people out. The
Which
most
was also his college thesis.
right, exactly. So here's what I'm going to do. So I think what I'll do is, Rob, maybe I'll let you start this off and kind of tell everybody. Let's start here. And what I'll do in the interim is I'm actually going to open up the phone lines. That's going to take me about a minute, but I'm going to open up the phone lines, and we're going to be talking a little bit about how Prince came into your life. What was the first song that you heard from Prince? What were you, what were your thoughts? Did it even matter to you at that point? Was it just like a passing thing? I mean, it was just like, that sounds interesting, and then you didn't think about it for, to tell a little bit about the first time that Prince came into your world.
Yeah. So what's really funny is that I had just moved, not by choice, from Tucson, Arizona, which is a really strange, oh crap, now I'm looking directly at myself. That's weird. So I had just moved to Tucson, Arizona, from Tucson, Arizona, which was kind of it's not a big city, but it's a college town, a lot of different people there. It's definitely one of the probably more unique places in the country. And we moved back to where my mom lived when she was a child in Georgia, a place called Nichols, Georgia, which at the time was population 1,100. And I think now is actually maybe even less. There was it was like a textile mill where a lot of people worked, and then pretty much everything else was farming. And I had never been in a place like that. This was probably, I think, 77, 78, 79, somewhere in there. I don't know. I was a kid. And one of the things that I did all the time when I lived in Tucson was I used to go to the roller skating rink. And so when we first moved out, I don't know, I was in a bad mood and somehow managed to convince my mom to take me to the roller rink, which was not in Nichols, Georgia, because it's only 1,100 people. It was about 2 counties over. I don't know how far away it is, in Waycross, Georgia. And it was one of the few places that I had been to since I'd been in Georgia that actually had an almost 50-50 mix of basically black and white people, and so it was cool. It was like more like what I experienced when I was in Tucson. And, I'm skating along and, it's like disco and all that stuff. And, there's some good stuff out there, Chic and Taste of Honey and stuff like that. So they're playing some good music. And then I Want to Be Your Lover comes on. And that just blew me away. I was like moving, I was like skating and dancing, like you do. And I think I actually went and sat down and just listened to the song. I was like, this is amazing. And it was really funny because because I liked that kind of music, that was kind of something that I was always getting made fun of because of it, because, little town of 1,100 people, which was not segregated at the school. It was probably about 50-50 at the school I went to, but basically the rest of the town was segregated. So it was just like that stuff you hear about one side of the railroad tracks, and there literally was railroad tracks went right through the town, and one side of the railroad tracks was essentially white, and one side of the railroad tracks was essentially black. And I had experienced that. That was totally new to me. And I even remember, I think Upside Down was a big song for Diana Ross at the time. And I remember, like, I don't know if I was talking about it or if it was on, if we could hear it or something. We were in line at school to go probably to lunch or something. And some of the kids were like, dude, you know, that's a black person who sings that song. I was like, why would I care about that? It's an awesome song. You know, and my mom was already into Diana Ross and the Supremes and Stevie Wonder and stuff like that. So I'd already been exposed to a lot of that. But that was, for me, it was nice to hear that song while I was out there and go, okay, so I'm not completely bereft from the rest of the world.
Right. And I think, and for me, I don't necessarily remember. Oh, but before we get started too, before I get into what I'm about to say about the first song that I heard, I want to say that the phone line is open. Now I have officially opened the phone line. So if you want to call in and tell your story about the first time that you heard Prince and maybe what was going on in your life at the time and how it affected you, please do so. You can call in. The number is 262-393-3865. Again, for those who actually have letters on their phone, it's 2623 We Funk. That's 2623 We Funk. And I think I need to put this in the in the ticker for sure. But 2623 We Funk if you want to call in. I'm going to make sure that I put that in here. I'm going to say, call us now. 2623 We
Operators are waiting.
Funk. Yeah, that's the that is a number. And I'm going to make sure that I put that across the bottom, and then we're going to ticker that across the bottom. There you go. Call us now, 2623 We Funk.
Dude, I didn't know you could do that. That's awesome. Why didn't you put the actual numbers instead?
Yes, so if you wanted to call in, call us 2623 We Funk. And I guess before I get in my story, we can take our first caller here and just see what happens. Let's see if we can even get, I guess we got to test out audio and everything else. And let's see. Welcome to Funkatopia Live. Who's on the line? Hey, what's going on? How are you?
Can anybody else hear him?
Oh, nice. Well, so you actually got in early on that too. So I mean that's like the early days of Prince. And did the relationship with listening to Prince just kind of just boost from there?
Ever since then, every time he brought home a new album, I was all about it.
Well, so you actually got in early on that too. So I mean that's like the early. Oh, nice. All right. And so what we're just finding out is that your audio is not coming through on the actual StreamYard for Facebook and everything. But if you're listening on the Funked Up app, everybody you can hear perfectly well. Yeah, so we'll figure out. But basically, what she was saying is she actually was in the very, very beginning. She actually heard For You and all that. And man, thank you so much for telling us that story. That's awesome. Appreciate you calling in. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, so that's one thing we're going to have to do as far as the calls are concerned, is that we're going to have to try to figure out ways to be able to kind of hear some of the audio in that on Facebook Direct and whatever, so you can't still hear it. YouTube always got to be something, doesn't it? It's always got to be
something.
We'll see if we can figure out some other way to actually create some of this. So the other caller, there's other caller that's on hold. Just hang on, and we're going to try to figure out a different method to kind of be able to pull that in. Probably is some other way to actually do that actually pulls through. Maybe I might be able to make a difference here. We'll see. Let me go ahead and take another call. You can start at the Funked Up app, and you can actually listen to the call. And I'm going to try to play around with some buttons and see if we can kind of get some extra audio. Rob, if you want to, maybe, there's a little bit of a delay. So, oh, is this Andre for sure? Hold on a second. Let me see if this is Andre that's on here. Welcome to Funkatopia Live. Who's on the line? Hey, Tanya, how are you? I can hear you fine. So tell us your story. Rob, can you hear it at all?
I can hear you. I can't hear anything else. If I turn on the radio, then I can do it, but there is a delay, like you said. So,
okay. Well, all right. So Tanya, go ahead and tell your story about how you met Prince. Let me see if I can maybe put this my headphones onto the microphone here. Maybe we can pull this up this way. All right, go ahead and tell us your story.
Eight or nine, and I was in my sister's car, and there's a 20-year difference between us. So she was driving, and we were playing, music and everything. I'm in the back, and then I hear someone with controversies, but I thought it was saying count your blessings. So I'm like, count your blessings. Count your blessings, like that. So my sister was like, she turned and looked at me and said, you need to know your schoolwork, like you know that song. But that was when I first heard Prince, and I just loved that song. I just really loved it. And then it just started like love affair with him, just wanted to know more about his music and following him.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people's story where actually, they hear it on the radio, and Controversy is actually the first song that I actually heard too. Actually, I think I had heard him before. I had heard him on the radio, but I don't think that I knew that it was him. Primarily because all of the earlier stuff, he was really kind of focusing on the falsetto part of it, and I think Controversy was probably one of the first songs that he kind of went into this different tone that appealed to me and got my attention more than the falsetto stuff did, for sure. But yeah, that's awesome. It's always good to find out exactly how he came to be, and right. It's so cool. All right, thank you so much for calling in.
I had a friend of mine. I had some friends of mine when I was listening to it, and this I'd moved to another small town in Georgia, and I played Controversy for them, and they thought for sure that he was saying touch your female body part. So it's like, how did you get that? Now, admittedly, I think we were like 13 or something like that, so maybe it was just on the brain. But
were you actually able to hear her when I put the headphones on the microphone?
I could. That was awesome.
You could. Okay, so I guess that will be an option, because I could actually hear her a little bit, but there was like a real feedback thing for a second.
A little feedback,
yeah, but I was able to remedy that. So again, if you want to call, that's the way we'll remedy this until, again, I need to get some people in here that actually can patch this stuff through into it. It's just such a nightmare. I don't know why it's always like this, but anyways, it's very, very cool. Anyways, for me, I had a bunch of different I didn't hear him until what was really kind of funny is that I heard Controversy on the radio and I loved it. But as fate would have it, my mother got a job in Atlanta. We moved. I was born in New Jersey, and of course, spent some time up in the northern states. We're in New York for a period. We went to Detroit. I lived in the projects of Detroit. And I pretty much was. I don't know how else to. I was one of 4 white people, I think, in the projects. This is the projects of Detroit in the 70s. So it was definitely a rough time for sure. And I got into a lot of fights, and I didn't, of course I was a kid, so the fights were a little bit different, than it was. Anyways, they're more kerfuffles than anything else, I guess. But what was interesting is that on the radio station, we during the day there was a radio station that called WRIF. I still think it still exists to this day, but they would play like all the classic rock and roll stuff. So you would hear Peter Frampton, and you hear Steve Miller Band, and you hear Chicago and Fleetwood Mac and all those types of bands, Santana and all those classic rock stuff. And so I just kind of gravitated towards that. But for whatever reason, at nighttime, I had a very, very difficult time getting that radio station. It was a little transistor radio that I had in my window, and I had a very difficult time getting that radio station in. So at nighttime, I would have to change the dial to another radio station, which just happened to be WGPR, which was an R&B, funk, soul type of station that played Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind and Fire, Ohio Players, Parliament, all that stuff. I mean, Marvin Gaye, Lenny White, it was just like all this. It was just amazing. And it was, so during the day I would get classic rock, and at night I would get the soul and the R&B. And I loved that. I loved that music. I found that I gravitated towards that music a lot. Especially at night. So I would be up all night, and then I would be listening to music until I fell asleep, until around midnight or whatever it was. But then eventually we did end up she ended up getting a job in Hilton Head, which was a complete culture shock, because I went from the projects of Detroit to the whitewash of Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, where it was just, not only was it was predominantly white, like completely predominantly white, but we were also in a segment of Hilton Head that was called Sea Pines that was even whiter than that white. So it was like a whiter shade of white. It was so white.
Whiter shade of pale?
Yes, a whiter shade of pale. It was like very white. And so I didn't really know how to, and through there, all the radio stations that were playing there were either, you got a little bit of country, but then most of it was, again, the classic rock. So I started listening to the rock and a little bit more of the new wave. And by the time we ended up moving to Atlanta, again, to the darker side of Atlanta, as far as the, I'm not talking about.
That's how we met, because basically I was just a mile away.
I'm not talking about race. I'm talking about it was just a really dark time. And
in other words, to kind of put it into things, he lived a mile away from me, and I lived in a trailer park. So there you go.
Right. So,
and for those of you who live on the West Coast, trailer parks on the West Coast, totally different than trailer parks on the East Coast.
Yeah. So it was, and I went from, I experienced both sides of the racism. So in Detroit, it was I was the minority in the projects there. And then I went to Hilton Head, and I saw the other side of racism, which I really didn't, I don't know that I was that comfortable with it. But then we moved to Atlanta.
Well, before you go on, I want to talk to you about this Detroit thing, because I think that's another thing that you and I have in common that I never realized, because you experienced what it was like to be the outsider in your community. And the same thing happened to me. My mom went and lived in Mexico on the border, on the Mexican side of the border. And border towns, especially back in the 70s, if you're talking about the difference between the American side and the Mexican side, like this city was the same city. It's still there. It's called Nogales. And half of it's in the United States, half of it's in Mexico. But the Mexican side is totally different. It's a totally different economic situation. And we lived on the Mexican side. And being an outsider there, it really kind of made me think about what my perceptions are, my prejudices are. And it's interesting because I never knew this about you, that we have that same connection. It kind of helps me explain why we connect the way we do.
Well, yeah, and I think, you know, when we came to Atlanta, you know, so I think when you're a white person, especially when you're a white American, one thing to understand about white folks is that we're not just white people. That's the first thing, because white is,
no one is just white people or black people or whatever.
I know, but you're talking about a race that covers a lot of different, Germans and Russians and French, and I mean, it's just the variance.
We have a crappy track record. I mean,
yeah. the variants of white are wide, and let's put it this way. I mean, there's a lot of ethnicities that hate the other. I mean, Germans that hate Russians and Russians that hate, it's crazy. It's just the amount of hate and everything that's in it. But when we moved to Atlanta, it was a different type of thing, because we moved to Atlanta, I was still white, but I became the victim of classism at that point, where we were low income, and so of course the phone connected because I didn't do anything on it. That's what that sound was, but you didn't hear it. It's only in my headset. It went ding ding. So I'm gonna have to reconnect in order to get people on the phone. But it was a classism thing. And so we were low income, so we were just, so I could be in a room with a bunch of other white people and I would not be treated the same at all. It was like I was very much looked down upon because of this. It was just a big classism thing. And so I think what ended up happening, and the point that I'm getting to is that Prince was very much, when he released that song Strays of the World, I think that pretty much encompassed a lot for me, because there was a lot of people who felt a little bit conflicted about who they were, how they fit into society. I mean, between whether or not you were straight, or whether or not you were gay, or whether you were white, or whether you were brown, or whether you were black, or whether you were transgender, or whatever it was, it didn't matter. Prince's music,
black, Puerto Rican,
Prince's music just encapsulated everything. His music rose above all of that. And so no matter what you were feeling, no matter what was going on in society or going on in the world, you were there. I mean, you were able to connect with his music, and I think that was the draw for me with Prince, was just because I just felt like I don't know. I just felt like his music was just connecting with me and speaking with me on a different level. But to kind of segue or segue into to kind of segue.
Do you know how long it took me while you were doing that for me to finally figure out what the hell word you were saying?
Yeah.
I think we were halfway through the album and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. I had to pull this down. So, because I think I was all of a sudden hot in the level. But to kind of segue into this Taboos of Prince, to kind of shorten this in a way, my mother was a super Christian woman. Okay. Well, I'm not going to go into details. Okay. We went to church all the time. like all the time. Church was a part of who we were. So I went to church on Sunday morning. I went to church on Sunday night. I went to church on Monday. I went to church on Wednesday. So we went to church at least 4 times a week. And it was a lot. It was just a lot. And so I was being constantly barraged with Jesus and God. And you were talking about the late 70s and into the 80s when conservative Christians were like all over the news. They had a stronghold, or more or less a stranglehold, on TV and radio and just in society. And it was just, I mean, they still do to this day, but it was in the 80s. It was like some next level shiznit. It was a little bit with a little sprinkle of Catholicism in there, so that you felt bad about any decisions that you made that did not align with Christianity. And so when I heard Controversy, and I actually heard the long version of Controversy, it was Prince doing the Lord's Prayer after this entire song about this entire song about sex and sexuality, and then all of a sudden he started doing the Lord's Prayer, and I was freaked the F out. I was just like, oh my God, 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 oh God. Because I think when the Controversy came out, 83. So at this point, I'm 14, 15 years old. And I'm freaking out thinking, if my mother hears this, she's going to lose her mind. And, at the same note, even with her not in the room, I was still feeling some sort of way. I was still feeling conflicted. Like maybe I shouldn't be listening to this. This may be bad. Jesus may be mad at me for listening to this, type of thing. And then you also have, and not just that, but you're also integrate the sexual part of the content as well that was layered over it. So I had all of these psychological things, that were going on from the religious side of things and my upbringing, that were really conflicting, because I loved what I was hearing musically, but man, I was also really conflicted because I was like, I really kind of shouldn't, listening to this, type. I was really in a spot. I was very much, very, very conflicted at that point. And I remember when, and I was like, maybe it was just me, but I've heard these stories. Plenty of people, again, depending on how old you were when you first heard it, that were really felt the same way, felt the same conflict of listening to Prince, especially when he was hardcore talking about sexual stuff. It was sex, 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 sex. And people were really freaked out that conservative Christians were losing their minds about Prince. I mean, everybody, you've heard the story a million times about that. Prince is one of the primary reasons why they have those PMRIC stickers on those, the content stickers on albums, was because of him, because Tipper Gore, wife of then Vice President Al Gore, walked into the room and heard her daughter listening to Darling Nikki about masturbating in the lobby of a hotel, and lost her mind, put together this group, and they came up with this solution to put these stickers on albums, which only sold more albums. But, the point of this being is that there was conflict. It was just it was the sex and the religion. It was all there. So when I had Dr. Fink on the show, I asked Dr. Fink, I said, did it bother you at all when you guys were playing this? Did it conflict with you at all? Did you have any type of, did it at all? And he said, no, I thought it was hilarious. And he didn't, he didn't have any reservations whatsoever about what they were doing. He didn't think, oh my God, I'm going to hell. There was none of that. It was just this He just thought it was hilarious. But then on the flip side of the coin, you have Des Dickerson, who was in on he was part of all that. He was part of the whole process of touring with Prince during all of that. And he was conflicted, and he was just like, I just can't, I don't feel right doing all this highly sexual content and all this stuff. And then, as you know, once he left, he actually created his own record label that signed Christian bands for a period there in the 90s. And so, so there was people that were actually conflicted and were actually weirded out. And if you can actually put yourself back into that time frame and think about what was actually going through your mind at the first time that you heard it, that feeling that took over you. Same way with the first time I heard Lady Cab Driver, and that segment in Lady Cab Driver, that segment of Lady Cab Driver, and you're listening to it and going, oh my God. I sincerely want to F the taste out of your mouth. And from the other side, it's like you're listening to the 1999 album, and you're going, oh my God, this is like feeling some sort of way as this music is playing. And it freaked me out. It really, really freaked me out. And so you're telling me, did you not experience any of that at all? Any type of conflict emotionally, psychologically, any type of, better not let my parents hear this at all?
So I think I was like maybe 12 when we moved to that first really small town in Georgia, which was a total culture shock. There was a girl there that I really liked, and she really liked me too. And our mothers were friends, and they were. I remember them talking once about what they might need to do to try to keep us from dating. Because she was Black. And we were also there with my grandmother in this small town, and my grandmother was a member of the Baptist church there. So we were living with her at the time, and she started taking us to church. In fact, I was going to church every Sunday, Wednesday, maybe Tuesdays sometimes. Anyway, for me, it was a lot because I'd never gone to church. My mom didn't do that. And while we were there were these time periods. My mom, she couldn't get a job in that small 1,100 person town, but she could get a job in the city that was another county away called Douglas, which she had to drive to. And so she got a job there, and she would sometimes take me to work. She would take me with her when she didn't have any way for me to be, I didn't have anything to do, and I wasn't in school or whatever. She'd take me and she'd drop me off at the library, and she'd go to work. And because I was going to the Baptist church and I was hearing all this stuff, I started researching all kinds of world religions. And there was a brief period where I really, really, really liked Islam. I was seriously considering becoming a Muslim when I was 12.
Robbie X.
You're right. And so by the time
I'm so stupid. I'm sorry.
So I researched all these, religions. And if you research a lot of religions, actually dig into them and look at them academically, you find that a lot of them are very similar. A lot of them have very similar, creation stories. There's a whole lot of stuff that's very similar. And so that kind of changed my view on religion. So, by the time that albums like Controversy came out, or 1999 or Dirty Mind, I already had a different sense about what all that stuff meant. And for me, for someone to believe in a higher power and to believe in a creator or to believe in the Judeo-Christian God, I didn't think that was necessarily antithetical to sex, because if you're going to believe in somebody, if you're going to believe in a God that creates everything, well, God created sex. So to me, it didn't make a difference. Now, I understand that if you're looking at it from that strict moral majority kind of idea, it was like kind of, you know, it was disturbing. But to me, I thought his point was exactly what I just said, is that you can't separate the human experience from God's creation because God created humans. So for me, I liked it. That was actually what drew me to the music, because I was like, yeah, he's saying something, you know, not everybody's saying, and it's really important.
Yeah, and I think that was Prince's angle too, when Prince actually, talked about that quite a bit, how God created sex, and so we should be fine to talk about it. But I think that, what he was talking about and how the Christians were presenting it kind of created a whole different. It was very much no sex before marriage. Sex is something between a man and a woman, a husband and wife. Homosexuality is of Satan. It's everything that you were being barraged with from Christians at that time in the 80s, when it was really, really hardcore with the big bouffant hair and all that stuff. Trying to set the tone, set the vibe that you
I never pictured bouffant hair.
you remember the big hair. All you got to do is just look. What was that? Tammy Faye Baker. Just pull up a picture of her. We kind of get an idea.
That sounds like fun. Hold on.
Tammy Faye Baker. Go ahead and pull up a picture of her. So you kind of get a picture as to the the delivery method that these messages were being. Anyways, the phone line is still open, folks. If you want to call in and kind of tell us your stories too, just so we don't talk ourselves into a hole. 2623 We Funk, or it's 262-393-3865. But again, it's 2623 We Funk if you want to call in. I'm having to press a button every now and then just to keep the phone live, so that people want to tell their stories. And anyways, but it was just, I don't know. And I think when the visual component came in, the first time that I saw Prince in concert totally changed everything. Fortunately and unfortunately, when we moved up to Atlanta, a friend that worked with my mother happened to have an extra ticket to go see Prince at the Fox Theater in Atlanta for the 1999 tour. And at the time, I was not, luckily I went, but unfortunately, I was not really qualified as a Prince fan. I had heard a couple of things on the radio. It was her son, and me, and we were more interested in running around the lobby and not really absorbing any of that stuff that was going on. So while technically it was my first concert of Prince's, was the 1999 tour in Atlanta, I wasn't there I wasn't there to actually see the show. I was there. Oh, it's something cool. It's a school night. Here we are, blah, 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 but it was still one of those things where, it got my attention, because when you start seeing girls in lingerie on the stage, and then you start seeing, these really cool guys dressed up really sharp and playing music time, and then you see this barrage of purple and just this, and the music was so loud and thumping, and it was really appealing to me, but I was still not completely there. I wish that I wish that I could go back in time and tell myself, sit your ass down and watch what's happening. Mm-hmm. But I was not in that mode. I was in that, let's go on to the lobby. But I was still there, and I was still able to take it in. But it was after that show, I think, that the way that it kind of affected me, and after seeing all those visuals, I was just kind of, I never made that mistake again type of thing. Because then when he came back again for the Purple Rain tour, at that point, I had then borrowed my friend's 1999 album, had kind of gotten more absorbed into the music. And then I started kind of then Purple Rain started playing on the radio. I hadn't yet owned the Purple Rain album, but I had heard it. I heard a lot of it on the radio. I'd heard a lot of other things. And I had like a cassette that had I had a cassette at some point in time of Purple Rain. And, oh my gosh, this friggin' phone line keeps on disconnecting. Anyways, so then when I sat outside of Turtle Records for the better part of 2 days, camping out for tickets for Purple Rain. And even though I was there all that time, it still sold out before the first show sold out before I had, I don't even remember how I had $100 in my pocket, but I had $100 in my pocket, and I can't remember why. I think I was hanging out with Matt from school, whose parents were rich, and he had money in his pocket, and it was like somehow I had $100 in my pocket, and yeah, it was. Anyways, his parents just gave him money and I somehow I had money. I don't even remember how I got that money. It wasn't like it was an ATM, I guess.
A magic ATM.
I had enough money in my pocket. And the first show sold out. And then before we even got up, even though we had been there all that time, and the second show sold out. And then when I finally got up there, they said, "Oh, they added 3 more shows." And I said, "Give me 1 ticket to each." And I like blew most of the money that I had. Cause I remember tickets were $25 or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah,
but
they were.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous. But so then I got to see Purple Rain 3 times, and every single time I was sitting there and taking it in, and it was just so, and it was still freaking me out because when they would get to the section of the show where they were playing Temptation and things like that, I was still kind of freaked out, still not okay with hearing all the Jesus and God stuff. And it was really still kind of freaking me out. And that same exact show, he's stroking guitar and spraying people with his guitar in the middle of a concert. So you got one show where he's talking about God and he's having conversations with God. And then later on the show, he's ejaculating into the crowd with his guitar. It's a barrage of what's okay and what's not okay, and Purple Rain was the first concert that you saw too, wasn't it? Well, that you saw.
That was my first Prince concert. Yes, I did not get to see the 1999 or anything prior to that. And in fact, I had the similar there's Tammy Faye Baker.
Tammy Faye Baker. There was your 80s Christian delivery mode. That was her and her husband, both of which are no longer with us.
I kind of feel like she'd make a great Halloween costume.
I think she was. I remember my mother. They had a Heritage. It was called Heritage USA. I think it was up in Tennessee or something like that. They had a whole entire huge piece of land that had a church and had all these prayer rooms, and it was basically like Dollywood, but for Christians. And I don't remember if there were rides or not, but it was like this whole thing. And I don't remember there being rides. But my mother was so into Tammy Faye Baker and the Bakers and the Heritage USA thing, and she actually owned. Because you actually own a piece of it and you could actually buy property on here. It was insane. Anyways, it was a thing. And Lauren says the original Carmen Electra.
Scary woman.
Yeah. Anyway, so for those of you who are listening on Funked Up, there's visuals that come with the show. Which you can tune in. But so tell me about the first time that you actually got to visually see Prince and what that experience was like for you.
So, that was So, okay, let's go back to the Turtles. Turtles, for those of you who don't know, is this record store in Atlanta. It was like one of the biggest ones, and that was where you had to go to get tickets. And there wasn't one where I lived at that point, which was about 90 miles away in a small town called Mansfield, another crappy small town. I'm saying that, and there's probably people in Mansfield going, "What are you talking about?" But anyway, so I actually drove up the weekend that they were on sale. I went to a Turtles that no one else was at. No one anywhere. Completely empty. Waited outside till they opened. Ran in just like you did. Tickets were sold out. And I think maybe I must have gone back home after that. And that's when they released the shows after I'd already left. But I had a friend of my mother's, who had an extra ticket, and it was one ticket, and it was behind the stage. And I said I didn't care because I wanted to go to the show, so I went. I was behind the stage, but I was directly behind the stage. Like I was right at the edge there on the balcony, so I could look down. And I think I've told this story before. I could see all the props that were down there.
I remember this story.
Yeah,
gotta tell the story. Yes, you got to tell me this. You got to tell the story again.
I'm gonna tell it again. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So anyway, I wish I should have uploaded a picture if we were going to talk about this. But before I went, I actually kind of like got princed up. I don't know. I thought it was princed up. I was in the theater. I was in the theater at the time, so like I had access to like makeup and stuff like that. So I had like some purple eyeliner on, and I had I don't know, probably done something with my hair, maybe, I don't know. And I was wearing this purple shirt, and I had these gloves that had like studs on it, and so like I was like trying to dress up to go to what?
You had the studs. That's hilarious.
I had the studs. Yeah. I had one of those handkerchiefs, the checkered handkerchiefs, the purple and black. Yeah, I had all that. And so I went to the show, and I'm back there, and I'm hanging out with these people ahead of time. And I drove myself up there. I was like, I think I just turned 16. I drove myself up there, and I'm back there, and I'm talking to these people, really cool people behind there, and they're like, "You're a really big Prince fan, aren't you?" And at the time, I truly was. Like, if you would have looked in my room, like every wall, all those posters you've talked about. I mean, I had posters of Wendy and Prince and Lisa and Wendy and Lisa and Brown Mark. I think I had a big poster of every member of the band, and all that stuff. And the show started. And so I was like there looking at all the props and everything because I was in theater. So I was like, oh, cool. Look at all that. And so he's doing the show. And actually, except for the fact that he was pointing the other way most of the time, it was actually kind of cool to see the show from behind and like see how everything kind of got put together. But there was one point, and I don't know what prompted me to do this, but I was chewing gum and I got tired of it, and I needed to do something with it, and I saw Prince's bathtub prop right below me, and I thought, well, I'll just drop my gum in there. And I remember thinking in my head at the time that I just wanted to be a part of the show. I just want to be a part of this. This is really important to me. I'm feeling this. I want to be a part of the show. And so I like drop my gum in there, and then like they do the whole part where he's going to get in the bath. It was like, is the water warm enough and everything? And he comes out, and he's just like, he's about to step into the thing. And then he goes, and he looks around, and he looks down in there, and he reaches his hand down to the bottom. And I just see, it's just like, you could see him. And it was like really quick. You just like reached down, pulled something out, and threw it to the side. I looked at the guy beside me, and I was like, that was my gum.
Prince touched my gum.
I just like Prince's finger.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
But that show, I was ready for that show. That show did not, I think by that time Purple Rain had already come out, and
right.
So I'd seen the movie, and I listened to the album nonstop all that summer. And I was totally ready for it. I was like, like I said, 15, 16, I was down.
I just it's just crazy to me because I was Purple Rain was the first concert that I was actually ready for. And I just like you, it was just kind of like I guess it was just the timing of it. I think 1999, I'm still upset with myself that I wasn't more aware of the historical significance of being at that show. Not just for myself. I mean, not that there was any historical significance for Prince per se. There's nothing special happened at that show. But I think that it was just, I don't know. I still counted it. I still counted it even because I was technically physically there. Oh, we actually have somebody online. Hold on, let's get.
Awesome.
Who's calling? Welcome to Funkatopia Live. Yeah, is this Mei Ling?
Are great. I never knew this stuff. This is good stuff. Get to writing. Living in the hood in Detroit, a little white boy, 4 people, 4 white boys in the hood. Great story. And then he was going to be a convert to Islam. Oh my God, y'all need to write books. I'm enjoying this.
Well, I'm glad. So, and Mei Ling actually has like a lot of stories, a lot of personal stories about Prince. Actually, in-person stories as opposed to hearing them. Because even from what I remember, the stories that you've told me was that you had not heard Prince's first album, and when you met him, he was I guess on his second album, and when you actually got a chance to actually meet him, and he asked you if you had heard his first album, and he gave you the copy.
No, what happened was, we had in St. Paul, lived in St. Paul, and he lived in Minneapolis, right? You know that whole story. So we had KMOJ radio, and it went off at night when the sun went down. So they were promoting the album, so I'm sure I heard Soft and Wet, and I heard it in the club. But I didn't associate it, necessarily. I mean, I heard Soft and Wet. Yes, I heard that. I thought, he's a nasty boy. He's really nasty. But when I actually started to date Prince and went to his house, and you remember the story I told you, he took me downstairs and he made some off-color remark about why he did that. You remember that, Chris?
Yeah.
Anyway, he took me downstairs and he gave me a private concert. And apparently, he must have been performing some of the songs on the album for you. And I only knew about the one, and that was Soft and Wet, probably, because I didn't buy the album. So when he finished this 2-hour whatever concert, he gave me this look and he said, "Do you have my album?" I said, "No." And he gave me the look. He gave me so much shade. He looked at me like he wanted to kill me, and he said, "Wow," or something like that. And he opened the cabinet, bent down, picked up the album, and gave it to me. And
nice.
So they played it in the club because Kyle Ray was the DJ there, and he really promoted Prince. But they didn't play all the songs, right? So he could have been playing, because I don't know what he was playing, some of the stuff that was on the album, and I wasn't like jumping up and oh, I know that one. So I think he caught on, and he said, "You don't have my album?" I said, "No." He's like, "Wow."
Well, now, and
I will never forget.
And in regards to like the religious stuff and the sexual overtones and that type of stuff, did any of that? I mean, obviously, you're older than we are, but did any of that kind of catch you off guard, or did you kind of feel like, did you ever feel some sort of way about any of his music?
Well, I mean, Soft and Wet, I knew what that meant, so I was like, wow. Because first of all, a lot of black guys didn't like to go down. Yeah, that was pretty. That was a pretty big deal to come out with a song like that from a black man's perspective.
Yeah, and to be on the radio too.
Yeah.
And to be on the radio with the innuendo, and they didn't play it on a regular station. Minnesota did not promote Prince on the regular station. It was only on the black station until he made it big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that for the radio stations that did play it, it was kind of like, kind of caught everybody off guard. I guess maybe some of the DJs obviously knew what it meant, but I try to think of like an equivalent song. I'm trying to think of an equivalent song on the radio, like "Skeet Skeet Skeet." People were like, "Wait, that's on the radio."
There was nothing equivalent back then, though.
Prince, right? So I never heard it on like whatever our white channels were back then, because I don't remember. It's been too long. I don't remember what all those were. But I only heard it on KMOJ at that time. And Kyle Ray, who was the super DJ, who was a couple years older than me, I think I was 20. So Prince was 22. And I was in college, a freshman in college. And Kyle Ray actually helped get Prince out there. He promoted the heck out of him. Kyle got murdered. That's in my book, the whole story about all that. But anyway, Kyle went to the U, and he was in broadcasting. And he was actually going on to television when he was murdered. So there was this whole story about that. And Kyle, Q-Bear, all those guys promoted Prince back in the day. But it wasn't until he made it big, and I was long gone, when they started promoting him, on the regular mainstream radio. So that's why he felt some kind of way, I guess.
Yeah.
About how he was treated back then. But he was, he was. Let me tell you, I'll tell you one. So anyway, that was the story about the album. But another funny story is when I left Minnesota, and I had never seen Prince prancing around in, leg warmers and his butt out, because I didn't go to the Capri Theater. I didn't see that, right? I met him. We started dating 2 weeks after the Capri, so I had never gone to the Capri. So anyway, when I left Minnesota and I went to KU to go to school, and people asked me, "Oh, did you know Prince?" And I go, "Yeah." And they go, "Oh, wow. He dances around with his behind out in a trench coat. You know him?" And I think I saw it on American Bands. I don't know when I saw it, but I saw him do it one time somewhere. So that was kind of outrageous, and I was even shocked. I was like, because when I knew him, he was pressing his jeans and wearing regular clothes. I never saw Prince around like that. So it was really a big difference for me. I was like, wow, okay. So, again, in 79, 80, and then I'm gone, and then he just busts out. So it was interesting.
Well, Veiling, thanks for calling and tell me about these first experiences. Just before you go, though, any update on when this book is coming out?
It is in the works, all I can tell you.
Oh my God! It's okay. All right.
It's finished and it's being shot. That's all I can say. So we'll see what happens.
All right, babe. Thanks for calling in.
All right, start writing your book.
Yo, we need to. So I had to, so we got a little bit of feedback there. So I have to make adjustments every single time a call comes in to try.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is that I can fix this in post too, because I actually have a scenario where it's actually recording the show on this side, so I can actually hopefully capture that audio and put it back in place for the show. Anyways, yeah, very, very cool. So I think, I think Prince was able to kind of cross a lot of different borders and a lot of different lines with people, as far as the sex part was probably the biggest part of it for many people. It was just the I don't it was just so out front. There was always songs with innuendos, and I'm sure there were lesser known artists that kind of got away with a lot of things, but saying things like, I sincerely want to have the taste out of your mouth. And you had all the moaning and groaning and songs about incest. And, then there was the songs like we were talking about Brown Mark, and Brown Mark was talking when Brown Mark was on the show. We were talking about the songs, specifically the songs Head and Jack You Off, both of which, whenever they were in scenarios where they kind of felt like maybe they were getting a little bit more, or him personally, Prince didn't really care. But when he was in a scenario where the audience kind of was giving off this anti-gay vibe, let's just say it like that. And then for him to do a song like Jack You Off, which is a term that's not really used for, it's just not a term that you use for a man says to a woman. It's just not common. It's just not common. And technically neither is Head. But I think he loved to do these types of things that was going to get a reaction, not only get a reaction, but also make you wonder. It just, that was his whole shtick, was just getting you to react and getting you to, that was his thing. He loved to do that with people. And for me, as an impressionable young teenager, it worked. Oh my God, did it work? He really freaked me out in a lot of different cases. And then of course, as I got an older teenager, it was just like, screw it. It was just like, I was totally down for whatever he was dishing out. I was willing to take it. And I thought about this with my own daughters. Everybody knows Jaden. Jaden's been, I think Jolie's only come on the show one time, but Jaden comes on the show quite a bit, and she's 12. She'll be 13 in just about a month or two. But she is, she's very impressionable. So she still gets freaked out by little things. Like we went into, I don't know if you guys have the stores called Earthbound. Do you have the Earthbound stores over there?
I'm not familiar with that, but I don't go out.
In Georgia, there's a store called Earthbound, and they basically deal with a lot of what's the term for the Grateful Dead type of people, like the hippie culture. Basically, they so it's like incense and tie dyes and all types of different things, and
okay, cool.
And that's in crystals and all these different types of things. Right. So we go into that store, and she likes to walk in those stores, and she likes to look around. But then we were looking at oils. Because the time they were making the slime, they still make the slime every now and then, but the slime with the oils, different types of scents and stuff. And there was one called Spirit of Something. And she was apprehensive to purchase it because she kind of felt like maybe, God didn't want us to kind of looking at it like almost like a religious overtone. And we don't do a lot of, we go to church, but it's not like, we don't do that type of pressure or anything. So that's just something she's just kind of brought upon herself. That she just kind of was really just apprehensive to purchase this oil that said Spirit of Something. She just didn't feel.
Did you explain to her what the other definition of spirit was?
Well,
that would be a good opportunity for that.
As much as you want to go into something like that when you're standing in the middle of a store in the middle of a mall, it's just like, I'm not going to have a life lesson here in the middle of a mall.
Sometimes that's where you got to do it.
But what's funny is that on the flip side of things, you have my next in age is 18, and she is just gung-ho about everything. She's just like, bring it. She just, everything that she listens to is just crosses the line, pushes the border. Most of it's inappropriate. 85% of the songs that she listens to has profanity all the way through it. It was the whole entire, I don't know. It's just, a P-Funk meme says, I used to lay naked in bed as a child, playing the Controversy album, looking at a poster of Tootie from The Facts of Life, visualizing her being next to me. Yeah, so everybody has their thing, right? So uh it's funny that you bring up two different facts of life. You realize I just saw her on TV the other day. She was doing some other TV show now, or some type of television show that's going to be on Lifetime or Netflix or something. But anyways, yeah, so everybody's kind of got
this girl on that show. I mean, I gotta admit.
anyways, so April says, seriously, can't wait for your book. I don't know if she's talking about Mei Ling's book or our book. I have been considering about trying to document my life in a book, but I don't want to just do like an autobiography type of thing. I want to do it something that's a little bit different, something that actually has music incorporated with it. So kind of like setting a soundtrack to the entire, like, this is chapter 1, the police, the fix. It's like,
you might do something like a William Shatner kind of thing where it's like spoken word.
No, it wouldn't be spoken word. I mean, but it would actually have like a soundtrack of artists to listen to you read through the chapter. So it's kind of like sets the tone as you're kind of reading it. I thought that would be a really cool idea if I'm going to
Have you thought about like putting that together? Like I've done that before. It's like, I kind of feel like this is the feeling that I'm trying to get. So I'll like make myself a soundtrack while I write.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, I'm sure you've done that. Actually, we used to make mixtapes all the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah. So I would sit there. You remember those boards that you could actually draw on, and then you like lift the film, and it would the words would go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it was not chloroform. I don't remember what it was, but it was
like
it was great. What does this smell like? Does it smell like chloroform?
Why are all the kids dying? Why are they all falling asleep when they play with this?
I don't know what it was. It was like a plastic, and you like drawn. It was only in gray. It wasn't in color.
I don't know what it's called either.
But yeah, I always used to like visualize myself on like a TV show or something, and I was like, tonight starring Chris Horton, and I'd write my name, and then I'd pull it up, and I go, and Eddie Murphy, and then I'd pull it up. It was like, so I would like have like a whole entire show that I was just like, this is who's going to be on the show tonight, and
yeah. That's cool. We should do that.
Yeah, it's silliness, but anyways, yeah. So anyways, it was just we haven't even touched. So we touched a little bit on the sex part. And we talked a little bit about we talked a lot about the religious part, more than I thought we were going to actually, the religious part. But there's still an aspect of this that we have not talked about. I
don't think we finished up the sex, but okay.
Well, I mean, and we haven't really talked about too much. I mean, because when we talk about like everything that the Christians were dishing out on the religious side of things, everything that they were dishing out towards music in general. Remember that whole backmasking thing? That it was like, oh, all these albums are all backwards, and if you play them backwards, it's like if you play Queen's Another One Bites the Dust backwards, it says decide to smoke marijuana, and it actually does. If you've never done that before, if you take Another One Bites the Dust and you play it backwards, it goes decide to smoke marijuana. It's really distinct.
I actually think I remember.
And it's kind of funny, actually. I think it's totally just happenstance, coincidence, but I think it's funny. Anyways,
what I was thinking of though about like the sex thing is like we were just talking about jack you off and head, right? And this was another thing that I thought that Prince was brilliant about, because he took those things that for no reason necessarily are considered a male thing and said, well, masturbation is masturbation, so jack you off, male or female, it doesn't matter. And it always bothered me when my friends would be like, you know, trying to do that whole gay hating thing, and they were like, well, this is just a gay song, or it was whatever. It's like, if you actually listen to the fucking song, it's extremely heterosexual, because he's talking about it.
Yeah, it is. But I think that,
or whether it's jack you off or whatever. And I was just like, I always thought that was brilliant to say, you know, there's this, to me, it was like a patriarchal thing. It's like, you know, everything's always been about the man. You know, there was Playboy for a long time before there was Playgirl and all that stuff. All of our images, all of our ads are all geared towards men. And it's like, you know what? Who the hell do you think that men have been having sex with forever? Besides microphones.
I was looking at some of these other notes here that I had on the. I didn't have any other notes on the sex stuff, but on the religious stuff, I was made notes that some of the stuff they were talking about, like the backmasking stuff, Led Zeppelin Stairway to Heaven. They said the entire song was backmasked, and I had messages all through it. Master Satan, serve me, and there's no escaping it. Have you played
the whole story? You took me.
Yeah, I know. That was Mount Perrin. Mount Perrin Church of God in Atlanta.
At Mount Perrin, where they did this whole thing about how terrible modern music and rock and roll music was, and all this stuff about how it was satanic and everything. And I was just like, I sat there the whole time going, wow. And I remember like leaning over to you, like constantly going, that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
And I don't know if I was at that point in my life where I was trying to get you to understand what they were telling me, or if I just wanted you there for moral support. I don't know what. I don't remember if I was.
You told me there were a lot of hot girls at your church. That's why I went.
And there was. Yeah, there was.
There were. And there were.
Yeah, there were. Yeah, it's a lot of. It was. Yeah. But I mean, everybody remembers all that stuff. With AC/DC was Antichrist, Devil's Children. That's what the name of the band. Kiss, remember Kiss? What was Kiss? Knights in Satan's Service. That's what Kiss stood for.
What?
So yeah, that was.
Hold on, I never heard any of this stuff. This is like
so they had like AC/DC. The name of AC/DC didn't have anything to do with power. It had to like the band had intended. AC/DC stood for Antichrist, Devil's Children, is what AC/DC stood for.
This is what the moral majority was saying?
Yes. And then Kiss was, and I know that I'm not the only one who's heard this. Maybe you haven't heard it, but I know there's other people in here that had heard it too. Kiss was Knights in Satan's Service was the acronym for Kiss. And anyways,
Kiss?
It was just Kiss, the band Kiss.
No, I'm aware of who they are. I just like Kiss.
Knights in Satan's Service. Yeah.
They didn't even like do any of that like satanic stuff.
It was just because I think it was just rock and roll. They were just they were trying to get any angle that they possibly could to try to get people away from rock music, it's just, I don't know. It was secular music is what they referred to it as. Secular music. You remember that term?
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
So let's talk about politics and drogas. Politics and drugs.
Politics and drugs.
Cammie says she also heard kids in Satan's service for kids in Satan's service. I had heard knights in Satan's service. There you go.
I had some of those when my kids were like 4 and 5 when they were toddlers.
So Prince in politics, you have, I mean, I don't think when I was in it, I really could care less about politics. And actually, to be totally honest, I really could care. I can give a flying flip about politics now, to be totally honest. I have never, ever been outside of stimulus checks. I really could care less about politics. I don't think they ever had an effect on my life outside of taxes and stimulus checks. I could give a flip. Now, I realize that there are effects on the market and effects on elements like that happen as a result of who's in office and some of the other activity that's going on, whether or not we're at war or not. I get all that. But really, I never in my life have I been somebody who gets all wrapped up and upset and uptight about politics. I really could give a flying flippity shit, to be totally honest. Everything politic wise just goes in cycles. Now, granted, I will give you, Trump was outside of the norm. Let's just go ahead.
Reality.
Let's just go ahead and just state that as fact that Trump was very much outside of the norm. There was nothing presidential or any type of presidential decorum about this man whatsoever. But the only interest I took in was I was like, oh, he won. This is going to be interesting. I just wanted to see
in the Chinese purse sense.
I just wanted to see the circus that was going to be.
Time is not a blessing.
I was like, this is going to be a 4-year circus, and it was funny to me. I mean, I know people were.
It was funny for a while.
People were mad and angry, but I was just like, this is just insanity. Just watching. I mean, it was just insanity. I mean, it just was. But Prince actually had a lot of different things that he was really concerned about. He was definitely concerned about war, and I think that was a really big thing in the 80s. And Reagan came in and he kind of re-pushed all that stuff, the stuff with Russia. And
we had just gotten out of the Vietnam War, like in 74, 75, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's not like it wasn't timely.
No, and I get that, but it was just like there was really, I think there was at that time, especially in the 80s, late 70s, going into the 80s, there was this overwhelming fear of that nuclear bomb capability.
Oh yeah,
that both sides had the capability to be able to push a button and just obliterate the other off of the face of the planet. And hate to break it to you folks, but we still do.
But what's freaky about this? Trying to explain to like kids nowadays, like my kids, when I try to explain what it was like to live in an era where there was this nuclear possibility of just like, hey, what the hell? Let's shoot bombs at each other and destroy the whole world. And now it's like most national actors like Russia or whatever, that's really not what they're going to do. But now, there's the possibility of terrorists getting a hold of those. And you never know what the hell terrorists is going to do. They're just nuts.
Well, I mean, luckily they haven't been able to get a hold of anything that goes beyond 100 miles. So it's just like, it's still terrifying. It's still terrifying. Yeah. When you got these crazy people who are just concerned about, especially in the Middle East, where there's just like so much insanity that's going on there. Anyways, and it still goes on there to this day. I mean, you can say what you want about the United States as a country and how horrible it is. I'm not talking about my particular perception, but and how much problems that we have, and as far as equality, and I get it. I totally get it. Even though I'm white, that's not lost on me. I get it. However, I do also look at the fact that when I look at how other countries have to live, in Mexico, these people are running for their lives. These people who are being, and not just because I happen to be in the middle of watching the Narcos program on Netflix. This is because this is reality, that these regimes and these people actually are stronger and more powerful than the government, and they are actually shooting and bombing all the time. It's like a regular part of it. If you're in a part of Mexico where that does not happen, that's really unusual. And most of these people are running for their lives. You've got countries that are like that. You have other people in Africa, and people in that live in, just don't have any of the conveniences and electronics and things and all these modern things that we have, that live in. You can say what you want about the United States, but there is a lot. You have not seen the other side to understand that. I get that there's a lot of things societal that we have to fix that are way better over in places in Europe and things like that. I get it. But on the same note, it's, there's definitely way worse places to live for sure.
Oh yeah, places to live. I mean, New Zealand looks pretty cool.
Oh yeah, there are some beautiful places to live.
Yeah,
Absolutely. All over the world, there are some beautiful places that are far better than the United States. I get that. Yeah, I'm not saying
And some of those
I'm not
countries
saying
that
it's the best. I'm just saying it's not
Yeah.
what.
But there's some
I don't know.
countries where, you know, the economic aspect of it isn't as important. And, you know, they might be one of the more poorer countries, but the people are happier. And some of those countries, it's because the government is more concerned about whether their people are happy than whether or not their gross domestic product is a certain percentage. It's like, you know, it's kind of like a balance. I agree with you. I certainly am, you know, proud to be an American, but but
My
you know,
kind of caps out. I realize our country's shortcomings.
yeah, but
but
there's
they're
a
not
lot
gonna be
we
fixed.
need to work on and we should work on, and that's actually the promise. That's actually what I like about America is that is the promise. The promise is that, you know, we can change these things as just a group of people, and, you know, just a strong group of a small group of people can change a lot. You know, I mean, anything that like the suffrage movement and stuff like that, I mean, anything like that has started with a small group of people who went in and changed things, and that's really, to me, the difference, and that's what I like about being here. But I agree with you. There's definitely some places that I don't want to live.
You know, there are some places. I mean, some places that intrigue me. For instance, I don't know what this has to do with Prince music. Panama intrigues me for whatever reason. I just it's beautiful. Portugal, beautiful. I mean,
Oh yeah! Oh my God! Yes.
I mean, Portugal is just breathtaking.
Yeah.
So when you look at things like, but anyways, the point of this being is that, you know, Prince definitely brought a lot of politics, and of course he was really involved in really incorporating more. I'm trying to think of what songs, you know, I was thinking about the racism quotient of this, the portion of Prince's writing before he was writing songs like Baltimore, that, you know, had really, really specific content. Were there really, I'm trying to think of other songs that he had written in the 80s that really were focused on racism. I mean, I'm thinking Sign of the Times, but that wasn't, can you think of any song specifically that he wrote that had content about racism in the early albums, say up to in the 80s? I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I think that he really came out and really didn't even say, I'm trying, I'm like racking my brain trying to going through the track listing of each album in my head as I'm kind of ticking it away, and I don't remember anything specific. Maybe some people here in the chat room can kind of help.
I want to say that there might have been some like B-sides or stuff like that might have addressed it.
Which ones?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to think of it. That's what's a little bit surprising to me, I guess. That's a little bit surprising to me, because as active as he was and how much that meant to him, not just to him as a black man, but also to his culture, and just, I mean, he's always stood alongside of all of the artists that inspired him, from Marvin Gaye to Stevie Wonder, all addressed it and very forward and out front with it. And it didn't seem like he really touched on that much at all until his later days in the 2000s, when he was releasing songs like Baltimore and Fix Your Life Up and some of the Third Eye Girl stuff. You know, so there was a lot of that stuff that was in there, but it seems like anything that preceded 2000, mailing refers to controversy, but that was really the only line that was in there really was, am I black or white? It wasn't really, yes, that's technically talking about race, but it was talking about people's perception of him. Is he black? Is he white?
But I think that comes, I actually always felt that in his music, that he was always talking about perception and prejudice, because it was always great to see like the musicians that he surrounded himself with, and you saw like a whole bunch of different things, and obviously he controlled some of that image, but he really, in my mind, because of that, is he was trying to show inclusivity, and I think that kind of gets to like the heart of a lot of it. So I think you're right, it wasn't overt, but I think that was always there, but not like you said, not like a Baltimore or Race, or I'm trying to think of some other songs. Not like what he ended up doing later on. I agree with that.
Race didn't come out in the 80s. So and
Right.
that kind of, that Race came out, that was on Come, which was 1994, I guess.
Something like that. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, it was like way into his career before he did something that was overt like that, which was that was not a bullet point either. That just happened to dawn on me as we're sitting here talking. I was like, I don't remember him talking about this component of it, because we're talking about the politics, because you think about that particular topic compared to war, which seemed to be always on his mind. I mean, you think about 1999, where he talks about the fact that none of us are going to live beyond 2000. Pretty much that's going to be the end of the world. Mommy, why does everybody have a bomb? Ronnie Talked to Russia, which, all the anti-war rhetoric in that song, where he talks about the tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union when Russia invaded Afghanistan, which was kind of talking about the fact that he was basically urging Ronald Reagan to get in touch with Brezhnev to kind of fix that conflict. And then, of course, you've got the song Party Up. You're going to have to fight your own damn war. Because it's like he talked about war way more than he talked about race for that whole first 15 years of his, because Race didn't come in again. Race is 1994. So at that point in time, his first album was 78, 79. So 10, 11, it's about 15 years. 15 years went by, and you think about all the songs that talked about war. And those are just three that I can think of: 1999, Party Up, Ronnie Talked to Russia. Those are just a few that I can think of. And I know there's a bunch more that talks about bombs and war and seeing the dawn and living to see the dawn, all this stuff. I just, a little bit shocking to me that's, was the primary focal point in that regard. But
I always felt anti-Christian had some societal racial points to make. I mean, he does talk about the guy who was killing kids in Atlanta. So I felt like, again, it was there, but again, I agree with you. It wasn't overt. But that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's, it's just surprising to me. Cause what was that guy? What was his name? The Atlanta murders. When was that too?
That was, I was like living, you would have probably been in Atlanta already. And I was, I think, living like 90 minutes away in Mansfield. And then I remember my mom freaking out, about me going out. And that was back before we were really sure that he was targeting people of color. So,
yeah. Look at the guy. I can't remember the guy's name.
I can't remember his name. It's like on the tip of my tongue.
Wayne Williams.
Wayne Williams. That's
Wayne Williams. Yeah. So that was Anyways, craziness. There's a lot of stuff going on. So anyway, so you had that, and then of course you had the drugs epidemic and AIDS, and I always think about all the. It's funny. You guys, listening audience, don't know me, but Rob does. And the fact that I did 2 Just Say No commercials for Nancy Reagan is kind of funny. I've
never seen those commercials.
Well, what's funny? There's 2 of them that I did for Just Say No. Both of them, one of them was singing and one of them was a rap. And I was like, I am going to like go down a rabbit hole of YouTube, and it's got to be out there. Somebody has got to have a copy of this particular commercial. I do actually have the commercial that you and I did with Gerald Riggs from the Atlanta Falcons. And I don't know why that name just came to me, but for those that don't, Rob and I did a commercial. It was a drinking and driving commercial for, and it was Gerald Riggs from the Atlanta Falcons, and we shot it in front of the Varsity Junior in Atlanta, which doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't?
It doesn't. It's gone. It would used to be off of Cheshire Bridge in Atlanta, and we did this drinking and driving thing, and I had to drive a car. I did not have my license at the time. I had to drive a car, and I had people in the car, and Rob was sitting behind me, and it was like a whole thing. I had to it was a convertible, and I had to peel out, and which I couldn't even do because I didn't know how to do it. and it was like,
it was funny 'cause you didn't have your license yet, and I was like, I have my license. So we're like, no, he has to drive, and I was like, all right. It was a stick, and I keep trying to tell him, I was like, he doesn't know how to drive stick. Anyway, I had taken you out and tried to teach you how to drive stick. Yeah. you couldn't do it at the time.
The teenage years. So yeah, so we and I do actually have that videotape, and what I'm going to do is in 2 weeks from now, next week we're going to be doing the album chat for the album chat for Sheila E in Romance 1600. We're doing album chat next week. The week after that, we will have a show, and I'm going to locate that videotape, and I am going to air it on this show. I have it. I just got to find it, and I got to transfer it to DVD, and I will make it available. I swear to you, it's going to be so funny.
I had this,
and it's embarrassing for me. It's embarrassing for me. I don't.
Yeah,
think
but you didn't have that. You didn't have that horrible yellow perm that I had. It was awful.
No, what I had was I was sitting in a convertible, and I was doing the worst acting I've ever done in my life, which I don't even kept. I was like, this girl supposedly supposed to walk. This couple is supposed to walk in front of the car, and I'm supposed to step on my brakes, and I go, "What are you doing? Get out of the way!" It was something stupid, and it was horrible. It was so bad, and but it was funny, and
it is funny,
and it's a memory. So we'll air it. We'll air it. Yeah, I will find that video. I will find that videotape, and we're going to air it. It's going to be hilarious. Anyways, so yeah, so he was probably one of the first. I can't think of anybody that really sang about the AIDS epidemic. When Sign of the Times came out, we were like, of course, once again, he did it kind of under the radar, died of a big disease with a little name. But he talked a lot about drugs, and he talked a lot about the AIDS epidemic, and just again, a lot of societal things other than racism. I think about Pop Life. Pop Life was a song that Prince had written about Morris Day. Which obviously we're talking about, a lot of the cocaine use. And so what are you putting in your nose? Is that where all your money goes? And again, basically, there were so many avenues of taboo that Prince tapped on and talked about society just to kind of just put it out there. Some of it was done for shock value, which was obviously the sexual stuff and the sexual stuff and the religious stuff that was really kind of done maybe to kind of get a reaction. But then you had the other stuff that was, I don't know if he really felt like it was a necessity to be compelled to talk about these things. I just don't know. He obviously saw a lot of that firsthand, just being in the industry that he's in. Cocaine was pretty much the go-to drug in rock and roll. Alcohol, cocaine, drugs were always readily available, to artists. So he was, especially in the 80s. Oh my God. So he was in the middle of all that. So I think that there was probably I guess he kind of felt like maybe it was as somebody who did not somebody who did not take drugs, which is, again, we're not even going to go down that route because everybody's like, oh, Prince didn't do drugs. Prince did do drugs occasionally. We do know that. We know that from people who were with him, including people who are trusted, who saw him under the influence. But the reality of it is, when it came to his professional life and when it came to everything that he was doing, his life was focused. He was very much focused on the music and producing material. And it's just, there's just so much taboo. And I find it interesting how it impacted our lives and how so weird.
I think it was kind of, I felt like a lot of the taboo stuff was, on one hand, he knew what he was doing as far as marketing himself. But on the other hand, I never felt like it was false or fake. I felt like he just knew how to play into these ideas that he was already having and use them as a way to get attention so that he could show you what a great songwriter and musician he was. But I never felt like his writing was necessarily false because of that. I felt like he just recognized that part of what he was writing about would be good to use to promote himself. And clearly it worked. Not only did he do it, but he took something that had already been done in rock and roll for a while, R&B, soul, whatever, any popular music, and had took it to another level. And now, you can't look at an artist now. There aren't any popular artists now that I've seen that don't do some aspect of that don't owe something to the fact that Prince brought it to the next level. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know, but it's definitely something that he said, all right, you're here, we're going here.
Right. Well, it's he's definitely the way that he impacted our lives and how he impacted not only how he impacted our lives, but how he impacted music, not by just setting the bar for other musicians, not just in regards to just the music itself, but also the work ethic and the volume of music. Yeah. He was just on some other on some other level. I mean, even when they were talking about his work ethic through the 80s, where he would record, when he would do these live concerts, and then they literally had 3 huge containers that they used for roadie containers that were full of tapes, and every single town that they went into recording studios in town. In every single town they were, and just recorded. So it was like nonstop recording. And sometimes he wanted to record in the actual venue that they were in. So once they got done recording, he would go in and he would, at 2:00 in the morning, after he just got done playing an event, and then he would do an after party. Maybe if it happened to be one of those nights where he's doing an after party, then he would go back to the venue and sit on the stage in an empty arena, and they would have all the recording equipment set up, and then the band would get in there and they would just, jam until 5:00 in the morning or whatever. And then meet at 2 to practice for the show. It's just insane. It was just, nobody did that kind of nonstop. And that's the reason why it is the way that it is right now. That's the reason why he was able to release all the albums that he released and still have just as many sitting in the vault of worthy material, of worthy listenable material. And that doesn't even include all of the jam sessions and after parties and random recordings of just jam sessions. Sheila E. even notated in that 40-page excerpt that they have from Dwayne Tudor's new book. I just got done reading it today, where she was saying that there's at least 100 to 200 songs, at least, I think she said 200 to 300 songs that they just recorded, just jam sessions, just her and him just sitting, just doing these long jam sessions. And she doesn't even have any idea what happened to most of that stuff. Same thing with Eric Leeds. Eric Leeds said the same exact thing. And like all of these artists have all of this material that was just recorded and is either considered either disposable or just, wasn't given a name. There was some song that was mentioned on the, some song was mentioned in that excerpt. It was something, I think it was called Fish Fry or something like that. There was some type of song called Fish Fry that was really intriguing to me. I was like, that sounds like a song I want to hear.
I want to hear Fish Fry.
Fish Fry sounds like a song I want to hear. I don't remember if that was the exact name of it, but it was something along. I'm disconnecting the phone line here because and just because. So that's basically the essence of our show tonight. We want to talk a little bit about the taboos of Prince, and thanks for entertaining us or entertaining the fact that you were able to sit here and listen to us ramble about this. And next week we're doing the album chat for Sheila E. in Romance 1600. Primarily because of the fact that I was already putting some of that album chat together. I've been working on the album chat's website that I'm kind of constructing. It's still a long way down the road. I'm hoping to get it done this year, but there's a lot of work that's going into it. There's a lot of things a lot of moving parts to this, but it's a very, very cool project. And I think you're going to love it because I've done album chats for every single one of the Prince albums. Including other ones too, including Third Eye Girl, including I did the Times Ice Cream Castle. I did I've done some random ones here and there too. So a lot of great album chats, and all the album chats. So just that. I mean, how many studio albums are we talking about here? I'm just trying to count. Yeah, it was the
40?
Let's see.
40?
Prince Studio, I think it's 42, I think.
42.
Prince Studio albums. Quantity. So you're talking about he did 39 studio albums, but also I've also done album chats for again, Third Eye Girl. I've also done album chats for The Time. I've also done album chats for the Originals album. I also did additional album chats for the Super Deluxe editions that were like 3 and 4 part series. So essentially there's like, no joke, probably about between 50 and 60 album chats. And each one of those album chats is like 2 to 3, and some are even 4 hours of album chats where we're talking about the album, all the historical context, not just perception, but like actually, notes and background, and talking about everything that was going on, and first time it was played, last time it was played, history, all that stuff is being put together on one website. And it's pretty intense. It's a very, very intense scenario. So all of them are going to be on one website that I'm putting together, and I will let you know when it's ready, but it's quite an undertaking. It's pretty awesome. And that doesn't even include all these other shows that we do here. And some of those shows are actually 2 and 3 parts, like Sign of the Times is multiple parts, and Crystal Ball. And I can't believe I've done so many of those friggin' things. It's just, I'm not going to be able to get any of that time back in my life. It's just gone. I think it's just gone.
Yeah.
So also be sure that you go to make sure you pre-order Dwayne $2 book for sure. Make sure you pick up Dwayne $2 book. You can pre-order it. It comes out June 7th of this year, not next year, of this year. Next year will be Mei Ling's book. I'm just messing with you, Mei Ling, but we don't know when that album's ever going to come. But here is the Amazon link for Dwayne $2 book. So make sure that you see Dwayne $2 book. Cami says she just got Glamorous Life on teal vinyl yesterday. That's pretty awesome.
Oh,
very,
cool.
very awesome. Very awesome. We're going to be talking about Dave said the name of the song is called Fish Fries. Same thing. Very cool. But yeah, we're going to be talking about all those songs on Sheila E. So that's going to be yet another album chat that's going to be added to the mix. And one of the reasons why I decided to do the album chat next week was because of the fact that I already gotten together quite a bit of information, but then this 40-page excerpt that he Dwayne put out for his new book covers most of the songs on that album, talks about the background and some of the things that were happening and whatnot. So between that information and what I already had, it's already going to be an amazing album chat. So I was like, let's just do it. So we're doing that album chat next week. And then when we come back for the regular show, Rob's going to have something I have no idea what it's going to be. I'm letting Rob, I'm letting him cut loose. I'm letting him do what he wants to do. It's
a mistake.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know.
We'll find out.
I remember the last time you did a full-blown show. Was it 8 years ago? How long ago was it? No, it wasn't 8 years ago. It was during an election period.
Yeah, it was election night, 2016. So I guess it would have been
5 years
November
ago.
something.
About 4 or 5 years ago was the last time you had a full-blown show here where it was just all you doing.
But it was a radio show. It wasn't a video. It was just radio. And I was like, I'm more comfortable with that. But all right. Because I could just like sit back and like play some music and like cut in every now and then. I have to like sit here and talk forever. It's
well, that's when Andy Allo came on. When I was asked, Andy asked me if she could come on and do a radio takeover, and so we wanted to do a radio show of all the songs that not all the songs, but the songs that were most influential to her as an artist.
Cool.
She was like, well, come on, we'll just do a show. And I was just like, sweet. So we did it, and it was awesome. And Prince loved it, and he was talking. He was tweeting about it on Facebook, and I was just like, yeah, this is awesome. I said, you need to come back on. And I've been in talks with her for, gosh, and that was when I guess it was Artificial Age, the one where she actually had the pieces on it. This is what it feels like, and all that stuff. And so she was talking about those individual songs as well. And I've been trying to get her to come back on the show for forever. And even when she came through in Atlanta, that's when she gave me this really, really cool leather bound case that had her album on USB drive. I still have not snapped that thing out of here. And what's actually cool, she signed it for me. No, we'll see what she did.
That's awesome. I don't think I would break that out. Either.
I didn't want to break that It's a USB thumb drive, and basically the album is on that USB thumb drive. And all I got to do is snap it out. But what's also is that there is a hidden, I guess a hidden track or some type of track on here that's on there. So unless I actually broke out that USB thing, I'm not going to be able to hear it. I'm just like, I guess I'm just not going to hear it because it was. I don't know. I'm just kind of. I don't want to break it out. I don't want to break it out. I don't want to break the USB stick out of her little thing here, especially since she signed it and it's all awesome. Anyways, So what else was I going to say? So go to DwayneTwodoll.com. If you don't, you can go to Amazon. To get the albums, to get the books, more or less, to pre-order the books, or you can go to Dwayne Twodoll's website, DwayneTwodoll.com, DUANE, $2, TUDAHL.com, and you can pre-order the signed hardback copies that are going to be signed and numbered, and they'll be sent out. So it's pretty awesome, and you definitely want to get a hold of that because this, you can download the first 40 pages too. So if you want to check out the book, you can go to the website, DwayneTwodoll.com, and get those first 40 pages as well. And check that out. It's going to be pretty friggin' awesome. Was there anything else I was going to talk about? Dwayne Twodoll's book for sure. which is it's awesome. It's just amazing to me the amount of material that Prince wrote in that period of time, just in those 5 years. I mean,
Yeah.
Parade, Sign of the Times, Black Album, Crystal Ball, Around the World in a Day, The Family, Sheila E.'s second album, which we're going to talk about next week, Dream Factory, Camille. I mean, most of those albums never came to fruition. And some of it ended up getting scrapped and put on, like most of the Camille stuff, the higher pitched vocal stuff that he does, like If I Was Your Girlfriend and things like that. Those were supposed to be on the Camille album and ended up getting repurposed into Sign of the Times. But the fact that he was, he just had so many ideas going on and he was creating music at such a high volume that and the record company just could not keep up, which is the primary reason why he ended up, cutting ties with Warner Brothers, because he was just producing so much music that he had no choice. But the record company was like, we have other artists on this label, not just you, right? So he just ended up having to record material for other artists, so that, like The Time and Sheila E. and Madhouse and whatever else. He was writing so much stuff. He was like, I'm fine, I'll just write for other people, I guess. Man, it's just craziness. But so there's that. So please tune in next week. Funkatopia Live will be back again. Album chat for Sheila E. in Romance 1600. We're going to be talking about that album, about the history of the album, some of the background. There's tons of background stories that I'll be sharing, so you'll want to tune in because it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a pretty sizable album chat too, even though it's not that long of an album.
Right.
It's still going to be very sizable as far as the chatter is concerned, and because there's a lot of information to cover and you're going to want to tune in. It's a lot of cool background stories and quotes and lots of
cool
deep stuff. But yeah, it seems like I'm trying to remember something that I can't think of what I'm missing. Am I missing something? It's like I'm missing something.
If you're missing something, I don't know what you're missing, man. As far as I know.
All right, so we'll be interested to see what. And when we come back in a couple weeks with Rob's unveiling, I will also locate that VHS. We're gonna play that commercial.
We really don't need to do that.
I think I'm pretty sure everybody here wants to see that commercial.
Not everybody.
I guarantee you there is not one person in this list that does not want to see that commercial, that does not want to see a young teenage Mr. Christopher and a young teenage Rob in our prime.
That was definitely not my prime. I am so trying to forget that time period, but all right.
Oh my God, that was so amazing. It was so much fun.
I want to say that one of my girlfriend's friends used to call me Teddy Ruxpin at that point. Because I had that hair.
Teddy Ruxpin, that takes me back.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Funny.
All right, so I'm going to play Family Name, I guess, on the actual radio show.
Nice.
So thank you guys for tuning in for Funked Up. I will put some music back on for you, and so you can reclaim some of your Prince block. We'll see you next week, and adios, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Funkatopia Live. I'm your host, Mr. Christopher, and my co-host here, Rob Rhythm, and I will see you next week. Rob won't be with us when we do the album chats, but I will see you next week for the album chat of Sheila E. in Romance 1600, and then maybe a couple of surprises. I don't know. We'll see if I can get Sheila to come on the show. To hold your breath. Here we go. Family Name right here on Funked Up. All right, so there's that.
Welcome.
Welcome. It's gonna be fun. So yeah. See, I told you, everybody wants to see it. Everybody here is saying play it.
I'm here. I don't want to see it.
If I had some way to play a VHS tape, I would find it right now. But first I got to find the tape. I think I know where it is. It's in one or two places I know of. So it's just going to be a matter of just migrating.
Speaking of VHS tape, do you have that Fix concert we used to watch? That was like small club, and I think it started out with Jamie West Oram on the side, starting up. I think it was Privilege. Maybe it wasn't Privilege. No, it wasn't Privilege. It was.
It was from the Phantoms tour.
Yeah, but they played some.
Yeah, well, of course they played
one or two Reach the Beach songs.
Yes, of course they did. Yeah, they. I mean, because they had to, because that was what they were known for at that time. But
that was a great concert. Did you still have that somewhere?
I still have that VHS tape, and in that VHS tape, and I've kind of left it in there, and I've got to refind it. But in that VHS tape is a picture of me and Jamie West Oram. I think I had that. Remember, I had that jacket that was signed by him and signed by the band, and it was an autograph or whatever. I know what happened to that jacket, but it kind of sucks. I pissed somebody off, and I guess I left a jacket behind somewhere, and I pissed somebody off, and they took that jacket and they put it in a grill, and they set it afire. Kind of like they did all the posters that I had.
Sounds like one of your ex-girlfriends. Yeah,
it seems like it's like a ritual or something. It's just like, Chris pissed me off, I'm gonna burn his shit. I just okay, all right. But you know what? I don't know what would have ever happened to any of that stuff anyway. So I've already got. I mean, if you only see like a portion of my wall. I mean, if you look at my entire wall of all the stuff that I have, it's like the pictures just keep on going. It's all band stuff. That's all.
Cool.
Those are all band photos and whatnot. So it's crazy. It's nuts. But everybody have a great week. You still got a few more days left in this week. And we'll see you next Tuesday. And thank you guys for tuning in. Rob, you know the drill. I'll call you in a minute.
Yep.
See y'all. Good night. Thanks for tuning in. See you in a bit.